The main character, sitting on the throne, smiled and asked if this was a sacred object. And at that time, she thought that it would be better without a laugh, because she thinks that this makes her look like a schoolgirl. This line appears several times in the novel, and the girl thought about how many times she had practiced, but still had not learned how to do it properly. The servant informs the princess and says that he has already arrived at the entrance to the demonic castle. Hearing this, another subordinate says that he will chop him into pieces. The main character suggests that they wait, and at that time, she thought that she had made many mistakes after she found herself in this novel, and therefore could no longer make mistakes. The lady tells Janbar and Talim to go to the first entrance to the castle, and Roxanne and Beelzebub to the second. The girl knows that this is her only role, and that this is the end of this novel. The main character understands that he is already here. Keel heroine Alicia, the guy with blonde hair, turns to the princess and says that he found her. The lady says that she will fight him personally, and the young man claims that he just wants her heart. Hearing this, the princess thought that she had been waiting for this moment for so long, and understood that even if this was a short and fleeting scene in which the main character finished her off, she could finally say goodbye to this novel. When we return to the very beginning, in her past life, the main character worked in the police, which is why she had no time for a personal life. The girl understood that she could only relax in the afterlife, as well as take up her favorite hobby. The little girl says that it's a pity that she found out about web novels so late, and who would have thought that they are so interesting. A stranger writes to the main character that all of this author's works are great, and he doesn't understand why there are so few views, and he wonders if popularity can only be gained after death. The girl writes that she is afraid of being left in the middle, and then asks when the day of rebirth will be. The guy writes that many people get into romances, and hopes that he will also be lucky, since they say that now there is a system for moving. After reading this notification, the main character was surprised, because she still didn't know what such a thing existed. The young man writes that they are still testing her, so they are selecting a few, and then suggests that maybe she will get into this novel. At this time, the main character dreams that she would like to be selected for the trial period. Suddenly, the young lady heard someone knocking on the door, and she asked in surprise who was there, because she realized that she was not expecting anyone. And when the little girl opened the door, she saw a guy who greeted her and called her name Kim. The girl saw that he had a pass of the employee of the Dark Reaper of the team of the afterlife on his neck. He says that now the waiting time for reincarnation is about 800 years, and most of those waiting are very happy with this. The man says that that is why they started developing a new system, and it is popular, and he decided to recommend it, and while she is waiting for rebirth, she can move into the novel. Hearing this, the young lady was delighted and agreed, and then they asked if she could become the main character in the novel by the author of Winter Waltz. The guy says that unfortunately no, but she can only move into novels that she has recently read, and then asks if that would suit her. She claims that she wants to be the main character. The man says that unfortunately, it won't be possible to choose the role either, and asks if she doesn't mind, and reminds her not to forget her phone because she can use it in the novel, and if she has any questions, she can look for information there. The guy wished her a good time, and thus the girl found herself in a novel about the love story of Prince Keel and Countess Roseanne. The young lady thinks that this is great, because she doesn't care whether she becomes a villain or the main character, because she only wanted to live happily ever after, although she understands that it would be great to be reborn as the main character. In a few minutes, the girl is addressed and called a princess. Hearing this, she is surprised, because it is a cute nickname. She understands that this is the luxurious life of the heroine of a romantic fantasy. The maid in the form of a bear asks the princess if she is awake. Seeing this monster, the girl is scared, and the maid asks in surprise what is wrong with her and how much she thinks the lady is ill. And at this time, the main character was surprised that the bear was wearing an apron, and she wondered if she had really become the princess of the Bear Kingdom. The little girl looked at herself in the mirror and thought that at least this had passed her by, since she was human. She became interested in whether there was a character with red eyes and black hair in the novel. The girl assumes that she might be Bellatrix, and then uses her phone to search for information about it, but the search results for her request did not find anything. The young lady doesn't understand why she can't find her heroine, and then on her phone, she finds information about the Demon King's daughter, who only appeared once in the novel and had 3 lines. The most successful villain that the prince must finish off in order to become emperor. The little girl became interested in why the main character only had 3 lines, and she didn't understand where that luxurious and wonderful life of an aristocrat that she had dreamed about so much was, and didn't everyone live like that after being transported. However, the girl believes that the daughter of the Demon King should also live well, and she thinks that she will arrange this place and make it look like a fairy world. The main character remembers that her past life was hard and short, and that is why she needs to give it her all. However, she did not know then that the desired future would not come. The princess asks if they offer her to eat it. The cook asks if the lady likes it, and then says that he can cook fresh entrails for her next time. Seeing this chef, the main character was upset because her chef is a locust. The bear cub tells the lady that he will kill him right now and promises to find her a new cook. And the locust asks, screaming, why he cannot take this position, since he knows that in the world of people, even rats work as cooks. The bear says that then he will find her a cook rat, and therefore suggests that she trust him. Hearing this, the girl objects and says that it is not necessary, and thought about what this bear was guided by when he decided to find her a cook rat. The princess thinks that she needs to think about the good and change everything over and over again. She thinks that if she behaves calmly, she will be able to tame them, and it is better to appoint a person to this position. The maid says that she will steal someone more capable for her mistress. Hearing this, the main character thought that they were complete psychos, because that's not what she meant. The main character understands that it won't be possible to solve everything calmly, and she needs to use her power. And since if we exclude the Demon King, who went into suspended animation to transfer power, then she is number 1. The princess thinks that first she needs to decorate the castle, and despite the gloomy atmosphere with expensive furniture, this place will sparkle with new colors. The main character tells her subordinates to find things that aristocrats use. The servants agree with her, and screaming say that they will steal everything. The lady objects and explains that she is not asking them to steal, but simply that they must buy. Hearing this, the worker was surprised and asked what it meant. She explained that it was necessary to exchange money for goods. The subordinate says that he heard that people have money, and the other suggests stealing it and killing the people. Hearing this, the princess screams and objects and claims that such a thing cannot be done and that no one should be harmed. Hearing the servants' conversations, the main character thought that her plan had failed, and she became interested in when the end of the novel would come. The lady remembered that the man told her that she could continue to live there until her death, or could move to another novel, but with the employee's permission. The girl asks in surprise, what if the plot does not follow the original? He suggests not to worry because the force with which the plot moves, according to the original, is much stronger than she thinks. The princess thought that in this case, she would simply become a villain and therefore die heroically. The young lady knows that at this time, Keel is meeting the main character for the first time. And as the illegitimate son of the emperor, he officially entered the palace at the age of 15. However, he was deprived of the gift of magic that is passed on through the imperial blood. Therefore, from the age of 18, the guy began searching for a sacred relic to gain power, so he met Roseanne. And the princess will die when Keel turns 22, and she understands that she has 4 years left, but she does not know if she can live in this place for so long. The servants ask in surprise why their mistress speaks like that, and then asks if there is something she would like to receive. She screams and replies that she does not need anything strange. Suddenly, the main character became interested in whether her father was a powerful demon, and she believes that she can move 4 years forward and fulfill her role in the novel. The princess smiled because she would soon be going on another romance, and she wanted to say goodbye to the crazy animals as soon as possible. The girl understands that nothing worked because she used all her magic, but nothing changed. But she doesn't understand. But it seems to her that they have become higher. The lady realized that she became smaller if she spent too much power, and then asked if anyone knew what year it was. The demon replies that the imperial calendar year is 1153. Hearing this, the princess was surprised, because she realized that she had moved not 4 years forward, but 10 years back. At this time, the servant turns to His Highness and says that he has a wound. The master suggests paying attention to this later, since he believes that first he needs to get out of there. The assistant asks if he is really ready to go there for the sake of the sacred relic, and the gentleman claims that there is no other choice because he is the only person in the imperial family who does not possess magic. Keel thought that he is the cursed crown prince, the illegitimate child of the emperor, and no matter how hard he tries, this nickname remains with him. He wants to find the sacred relic and receive the protection of heaven and regain his magic. Suddenly, the guy saw a bright light and then says that he sees nothing. When he opened his eyes, he saw the chain he was tied to. It has been 10 years since the Demon King went into hibernation, and it was after the princess was born. Since she had called all the demons together for the first time, they were expecting her to give them some parting words. When the girl saw the demons, she was surprised because she doesn't understand why she moved here. I think it would be better to be reborn in the body of a person about whom not a single line was mentioned. The main character understands that she has two options to get out of the demon world. After all, she understands that when she becomes an adult and inherits the power of the Demon King, she can be summoned or some person will decide to make a contract with her. The girl understands that she is still far from coming of age, and if she does not influence the plot, she can be anywhere and believes that she will appear in the plot when she is 24 and Keel is 22. The princess believes that in this case, it is possible to hide for 10 years in the human world and then return there for 4 years. The mistress tells her servants that she is going to the world of people. Hearing this, they ask in surprise why, since they were waiting for her words, and also wonder if she wants to go to the world of lower beings. The princess claims that they are fools, and then explains that only by getting to know humans better will they be able to properly annoy them. Hearing this, the demons screamed and said that their princess had thought it through well. The goat turns to the lady and says that in the human world, demons can hardly use their powers, and believes that she needs at least one escort from the supreme generals. The cockroach says that he will go, and seeing him, the girl got scared, and then asks who wouldn't be scared of a talking cockroach. The princess objects, and says that it is impossible because she was going to stay there, and therefore she needs someone in human form. Cockroach tells her not to worry, because supreme generals can change their appearance. In a few minutes, the bug became a handsome young man and talks about the girl so that she would look at him. The main character objects and says that she doesn't care because she doesn't like cockroaches. The caterpillar says that then he will go, because for the sake of the princess, he is ready to shed his human skin every day. The princess saw many people who wanted to go, and then turned to the panther and suggested that he go and believed that he would be better than the others, and that he only needed to remove his horns. Captain Genbar screams and says that for the sake of the lady, he is ready to pester young and fresh people all day long. The main character thought that this was great, because she could go to the human world. Lying in bed, the girl thinks that she didn't even think that it would be so difficult to do, because she understands that lower monsters can easily leave. But those higher up, like her and the Genbar, can only leave when called upon. The princess understands that a week has already passed since her proud statement of resignation, but no one has called them yet. The bear screams and tells the princess that one summoning circle has opened. The Janbar with her, and at that time, she thought about seeing these demons in 10 years. At this time, the magician turns to the boy and says that he is next. Keel thought that he really went back to his terrible life. When it was suddenly discovered that he was the illegitimate child of the emperor, his life turned into a nightmare. The princess asks in surprise where they are, and the man happily says that it was he who summoned the demons here. The girl saw children behind bars and told the Yanbar to finish off this man, and then she freed the children and said that they were all going home. Janbar asks the lady in surprise if she really will let them all go. A lady replied that she doesn't need them, and that's why she gives them freedom. The assistant says that he is sorry because he does not want to let go of such delicious food. Hearing this, the princess called him crazy and then screamed and asked how many times she told him not to touch the weak because she believed that he should have at least some conscience. And the bug says that he is not a man, but a demon. Having heard this, the main character objects and reminds that she said that there is no need to correct her, and then kicks her. Keel watches them in surprise and thinks that this did not happen in the past, because he remembers how this black magician stabbed him in the heart, and if it were not for the sacred power contained in the medallion of his mother, He would not be here, because then she saved his life because he does not have his life. The guy became interested in how much longer he could last if he avoided dangerous places, because he wanted to live so much. The girl turns to the boy and asks if he's okay, and then says that he can go home since this magician is no longer here. Hearing this, the guy thought that he had nowhere to go, and the lady said that if he had nowhere to go, he could go with her. At this time, the young man thought that, for the first time, someone extended his hand to him from a pure heart, and thought that this girl was a black angel, and so he met Bella for the first time. The main character, holding the guy's hand, thought that this kid is not weak, and he was not surprised when he saw the janbar, and when he heard that it was so tasty. Even in such a situation, he remained calm. The princess asks if he will become her servant, and at that time, she thought that she needs to take the first step, and if she holds out with him, then a good life in the human world will be provided to her. The girl understands that since he has nowhere to go, she will need to spoil him well. And at this time, the guy thought that he did not have sacred power, and therefore believed that with this lady he would be safer, since getting a guardian for a start would be good. Janbar says that they need to eat, and if she is hungry, then maybe this boy. And Bella angrily tells him to calm down. Keel wonders if it will be okay if he calls her princess, especially since it seems like she really is a princess. The boy believes that in order not to go through this hell again, he is ready to live with them until he comes of age, because he understands that she will definitely not believe that he is already 18. Bella says that they are already there. And the young man looked at the city and thought that maybe she is not herself, and therefore thinks that it would be better not to say anything strange. The main character says with delight that this is the same meat from webtoons, and the assistant says that he does not understand why people bother so much with food. She tells him not to spoil her dinner and just eat it. The girl took a piece and thought that it was very tasty, and then she claims that she calls it food and thinks that it tastes even better with soup. Janbar took a bite of the meat and said that the taste was so-so, and the lady thought that he might not eat it if he didn't like it. The princess looked at the guy and did not understand why he was sitting and thought that he was seeing meat for the first time. She claims that everything is fine, and he sees that the Janbar liked the meat and offers to try it because it is delicious. Keel thought that he learned to use a fork much later, and he can't even imagine how 8-year-old children eat at all. The girl asks in surprise if he knows how to eat with a fork, and the boy ponders whether children at the age of 8 use cutlery or not. Bella shows the boy how to use a fork correctly. She claims that it is easy and suggests that he try. The lady stroked the boy's head and said that he was doing well as a servant. Janbar asked in surprise why she needed a servant who couldn't even use a fork, and wondered if he wasn't good enough because he thought he was better than the boy. The main character claims that he is an orphan, and it is obvious, and then asks who would teach him because she understands that everything is learned with experience. The demon claims that they can do everything from birth, and the princess screams and says that she asked not to correct her. Bella smiled and said that this is life, and she would definitely go crazy if she spent even one more day in the demon world. But she understands that this is not what she dreamed of, but she thinks that she will somehow get used to it, even if she has to live there for another 4 years. Janbar came with the boy, and at that time the main character looked at him and thought that he was very good, and asks the demon if he washed him normally, because he smells very bad, and wonders if he used soap. The demon says that they wash themselves with red liquid, and then asks what is cute. Hearing this, the girl realized that they had been washing themselves in red liquid all this time, and was surprised. The princess turns to him and says that if he is not going to listen to her, then he should leave, and then suggests that he should start imitating people. He says no, and the girl interrupts and says that she knows, and therefore suggests not to talk about it anymore. Janbar says that he is going to wash himself. She turns to the guy and tells him not to worry, because she is not angry because of him. Bella asks how old he is and guesses that he is probably 5. Keel shows on his fingers that he is 8. Hearing this, the main character thought that he looks very small for his age, and he speaks poorly, and does not know how to use cutlery. The girl suggests that it seems he has been through a lot, and therefore she will need to treat him to something tasty. She asks if he has a name and what his name is. In response, the boy only remained silent, and a few minutes later, he announced that he was Keel. Hearing his name, the princess was surprised, and she realized that this guy is definitely him, because his name is Light Hair. The same eyes are the color of a pumpkin, and the age matches. However, she believes that she needs to double-check and find out what only the main character knows. Bella asks Keel to come to her and asks if anyone sent him to bad magicians. Hearing this, the child does not understand why she is asking about this, and it became interesting what she is holding in her hand. But he understands that if he lies, she may hate him. And at this time, the main character thought that it would be better for her to ask him about something else, and then wonder if he had anything left after his mother's death. Keel touches the medallion that was on his neck, and the lady asks if he inherited it. Hearing this, the guy does not understand how she found out, and was surprised. Bella thinks that judging by his reaction, he really is that same Keel. The princess wondered why she had saved the main character. She speculates that he was able to survive and become a prince thanks to the sacred power contained in the amulet. The girl touched the medallion and realized that there were no sacred powers. And then she looked at the phone and saw that the guy almost died because of the experiments of the dark magician, but he was saved by an angel. And after that, some unknown force always helped him in dangerous situations. Bella realizes that she has finished off that very magician. Only 3 days have passed since she was sent here, and the plot has already gone through one place. The main character doesn't understand what to do because she thinks she's acting like a villain. She remembered that they have a support center and tried to start a personal dialogue. The phone said that after she received an answer to her question, her phone would turn off, and therefore they suggested using this feature only in emergency situations. After reading this notice, the main character was surprised, but she realized that she couldn't just give up because someone had probably already found themselves in a similar situation. Bella reflects that even if you change the basic settings, the plot may follow the original, and in that case, errors may indeed occur. However, if this does not greatly affect the main plot, you cannot worry. The lady realizes that she has not changed important settings in the main character, and she wonders if she can just go back. The girl does not understand what to do if she has changed the main character's settings significantly and cannot return to the original plot. Bella saw a hint on her phone that in this case, you can turn back time once and just think about it. And she can turn back time even 10 years. The main character understands that she changed time not with the help of magic, but with the help of this system, and thinks that she is finished because she understands that she needed to first study the information and then do it. The next day, the young lady wishes the boy good morning. After all, she understands that he is a prince, and the story is not about adventures, but about love, and most importantly, a happy ending for the two main characters. Bella thinks that she just needs to take good care of him until the main plot begins, and then take him to the castle to meet Roseanne. The girl tells Keel that she is the princess of the animal kingdom Bellatrix, and the man next to her is the Black Panther Genbar, and asks if he remembers him. In a few seconds, the demon turned into a black cat, and the boy was surprised when he saw him. Genbar says that cats are lower in status than him. The main character ignores his words and explains to the boy that they are from the animal kingdom, and then says that he does not need to be her servant either. Keel claims that it is impossible because he cannot return without sacred powers. Hearing this, the main character is surprised, and then asks the child why he is crying. Keel says that they can eat it later, and promises that it will grow tasty. Bella was surprised to hear this, and then asked if he thought that they were talking about him, and then came closer and said that yum yum she would eat him, and asked if he was scared. The young lady says she is joking because she knows that cats don't eat people. Janbar says that then he will gladly do it. The guy grabs the lady by the dress and says that she can eat him later, but now asks to take him with her. Hearing this, the main character thought that for her this is just a game, but for this boy, for him, this is reality. The princess says that she will take him and will not eat, and the guy promises that he will become a good servant. The lady objects and assures that it is not necessary, but in time she thought about the fact that he has a different role and says that it would be better for him to become a prince. Keel claims that she doesn't need him but a servant. Hearing this, the main character reflects on the fact that she thought that the boy didn't speak very well, but she thinks that in fact everything is not so bad, and then asks if he can talk, since before that he was only silent. The young man says that if she doesn't like it, he will remain silent and follow her will, and then covers his mouth with his hands. The girl looked at him and thought about how he had lived in fear all this time, and then hugged the boy because she thought that it didn't matter now, because he was the main character who was supposed to have a happy life. Janbar asks the princess in surprise if she is moved by the fact that he can eat the boy. Hearing this, the princess gets angry and he quickly runs away. The main character understands that she has 10 years left to live in the human world and asks if there are any real estate agencies in the area, because she believes that she needs to find a house, because for this, she took some gold from the demon world with her, and she just needs to find out how much it will be by local standards. The man says that the owner, the Baron, has died, and that he is now dealing with this, and then, in surprise, asks the little girl if she really wants to live here, since there is a magic tower nearby, which is why monsters often attack them. The man with red hair says that mostly only travelers live here, and the main character thought that she doesn't care and offers to show what is here. The gentleman says that he can offer her the villa of the deceased baron. At this time, the princess thought that this is a 2-story mansion with a large garden, and there is a basement, 2 bathrooms, and many more rooms. The man says that there is even an extension that can be equipped as a warehouse, and then names the amount of 30 gold. Hearing this, the stranger with red hair asks in surprise how much, since he assumes that something is wrong with her, since it is very cheap. The princess assumes that such a mansion should not cost at least 100 gold pieces, and she does not need such a huge house. But she needs housing now, because the fact that she is in a novel does not guarantee her safety. The gentleman says that it is clear that there are some problems with the house, and thinks that this little thing does not understand pricing at all. At this time, the main character thought that this garden would be ideal for training Kiel, and believes that first she should at least look at this house. Bella asks the seller how long it will take to finish this house. He answers that it will take a very long time. The girl says that it is not a problem to tidy up the garden, and thinks that it is better to look into the house. And when she went inside, she thought that it was bigger than she expected, and even better than in the demon world, and she would like to buy this house, but she cannot forget about those words that the man with red hair said. The main character asks what's wrong with the house. The man replies that there's nothing wrong. It's just that no one has been to this villa for a long time, because everyone avoids it. The young lady thought that she needed to find out Kiel's opinion, since they would have to live there for 10 years after all. She asked the boy if he was scared here, and he answered that he was not at all. Bella says that they are buying this house, but first asks to do some repairs there since she has the money. The seller is happy to hear this, and says, screaming, that he will do it right now. The girl thought that this was great, because she had found a place to live, and then she looked at the boy and thought that he needed to be dressed nicely. In a few hours, they were in an expensive boutique, and when the boy got dressed, the girl thought that he was very cute, and it was immediately obvious that he was of noble blood, and she understood why he was the main character. When Kiel went to the fitting room, he looked in the mirror and thought that he really had become smaller. He remembered that the girl said that she did not need a servant, but still took him with her and also bought expensive clothes. The guy thought that the young lady wanted to stay with him longer, and then remembered the promises that he said that he would grow up tasty, and does not understand why he said it at all. The boy thought that she really decided to raise him in order to eat him later. The main character turns to her servant and orders him to call Kiel Lord and her mistress. Hearing this, he asks in surprise if it is possible to address a princess that way. Bella reminds again that she asked not to correct her, and then asks how many more times to repeat. And at this time, the boy thought that all the power is in her hands. The girl calls the guy and says that this is now his room, and then says that the wardrobe and desk will arrive soon. But since the town is small, everything takes a very long time to be delivered. The main character suggests that he simply consider it his home, and then asks if he agrees. Bella says that her room is nearby, and therefore he can come, and if he needs anything, and then suggests that they rest. The young lady does not understand why this cutie is looking at her like that, but she understands that the house turned out to be bigger than she thought, and 1 janbar would not be enough since he is not very good at cleaning. The girl thinks that if the janbar continues to do housework, they will not last long, and she thinks that this is not possible, and that new people need to be hired. Bella looked around and thought that it was dark and damp, and the best place to practice magic. Janbar asks the lady if she wants to summon demons. The girl replies that she wants those who are chilling in the human world. The demon asks why she needs such unworthy people, and thinks that it would be better to summon someone from the demon world, since she alone is served by 3 main generals. The princess objects and says that she doesn't need these cockroaches, and then orders them to move away. And at this time, she thinks about how good it is that she doesn't have to learn complex spells. The main character used magic herself and became interested in who she had summoned. The girl saw a guy with red hair and found out that he was the impudent guy from the tavern who said that there were some problems with the house and that this little brat doesn't understand pricing at all. The man asks in surprise if she is the girl from the tavern and also wonders if she is an imperial mage. He says that it is a demonic summoning circle and then asks in surprise how she managed to summon him. The princess explains that she can summon everyone who is under her. Hearing this, the demon thought that he does not understand how he can be shorter than some girl. Janbar turns to the red-haired guy and calls him Genix, and then asks the princess why she called him here. The girl asks in surprise if he knows this person, or rather the demon. He replies that he doesn't know, and the lady asks what the problem is then. Janbar explains that he was banished from the demon world 200 years before her birth, and calls him a pathetic half-breed because he is a despicable creature born from the union of a human and a demon. In the human world, demons are hated just as much as demons hate humans. However, the main character thinks that she could use a demon who knows about the human world and then asks if he wants to work for her. Hearing this, the guy with red hair was surprised, and the princess explains that she needs a servant who knows about the human world because she knows that, judging by his words in the tavern, he is very scrupulous. Janbar objects and suggests that the lady send him back. She says that the demon can't handle household chores, and that's why they need him. Genix says that he agrees to any job. Hearing this, the demon gets angry and screams, saying that he is a scoundrel. Janbar reports that now they will not only live with a human, but also with a half-breed, and if the future ruler of the demons is so weak-willed, although he understands that she has not yet inherited the title, and if they create a new heir. And at this time, the main character thought that after death, she would simply move to another novel, and she thinks that there is little bad because she is interested in what will happen to Keel. Bella reflects on the fact that, because of her, the only thing that could protect him disappeared. And it's not that she agrees, but in the eyes of demons, it really can look like she's taking the side of the people. The girl understands that they will not like the fact that she has a person under her care, and she believes that she has no choice because she will have to force them to understand her. The princess says that she will tell them her plan, and then says that with the help of this child, they will conquer the human world. The main character does not understand whether she managed to convince them, because Genetic looks at her with distrust. Janbar screams and says that he will do whatever his mistress wishes. The next day, the guy with red hair cooked breakfast, and the main character thought that he was a smart guy and did everything from cleaning to cooking, and thought that the long years of life in the world of people were not in vain. Bella realizes that he has been in this world for more than 200 years, and then she turns to the demon and asks if he sees how to work. Hearing this, the Janbar only shook his head, and the Janik turned to the young master and asked if he had woken up. The girl turns to the boy and asks what is wrong, and whether he slept badly, and also wonders if he is sick. The lady tells the guy to go eat quickly, because she knows that people should eat well, because that is where their strength lies. And she also says that he should eat well to grow big. Sitting at the table, everyone thinks about their own things. Bella thinks about how well he already uses a fork, and the boy wonders if she really is raising him just like that. Genik turns to the gentleman and says that he needs to cut such large pieces with a knife, and therefore suggests taking the fork in his left hand. The main character looked at the half-breed and thought that he would even work as a tutor, and she wondered if she could trust him to teach Keel, since even she didn't know all the local rules. Bella thought that they had found a house, and even a good servant, but the truth is that he cannot be trusted yet. She thinks that in order to live in the human world, she needs to earn money, but she understands that there is something important, and she needs to achieve an original ending. The princess doesn't understand how she can concentrate when he looks at her like that, and sits so quietly that she starts to worry. The lady asks the boy if he wants to read a book. Keel thought that they would come for him from the castle in 8 years, and life there was like hell. But in order to avoid this, he needed to learn as much as possible. The boy thought that if he was right, then Bella was the boss in the house, and in order to get what he wanted, he needed to behave well with her. The guy became curious about what kind of thing the lady was holding in her hands, and he assumed that it looked like a black box. Bella looked at the young man, and she wondered why he was looking at her like that, and so attentively. The girl asks the boy if he can read. Hearing this, the boy thought that he was holding the book on the back, and for this he was confused. The princess calms the guy down and says that it's okay, because she understands that no one taught him this, and then says that she will help. The lady invites him to look, and then explains that this is the word lion, and draws it on paper, and then says that it looks like this. Keel wonders if it's a cat. She objects and says that a cat looks different, and then asks if it's easy to learn from pictures. Bella moves on to the next task, and the guy watches and observes her carefully. At the end of the day, the main character thought that a week had already passed, and she hadn't even read a quarter of the novel. Suddenly, a boy comes into the room holding flowers in his hands, and the girl thought that as soon as she sat down, he came. Bella reflects on the fact that since the main character is the biographer of whom she is trying to organize now, he is a child, and multiplication is a multiple word. And she became interested in what would happen if she mixed herbs for sleep and for wakefulness. The girl understands that she is trying to answer every question he asks, so it is even more difficult to concentrate, and she became interested in what kind of books he is reading. The lady thinks about entrusting his training to Genix, but she thinks that she cannot trust the main character to the first person she meets. But she understands that he cooks well, and there is something human in him, but it may not last long because of Dunbar's bullying. When the main character went for a walk, she saw a guy with red hair, and she wondered what he was doing. She called Janique, but he didn't seem to hear her, and she doesn't understand where he went and thinks it's strange. The girl decided to follow him. Janique asks why he hates him so much, and Janbar asks how much longer he is going to stay there. He replies that he doesn't know and thinks that he will until the princess kicks him out. Bella became curious about what they were doing at such a time. The demon tells the half-breed that since he is not going to leave, it is better for him not to catch his eye. Genix says that then he will stay here forever. Hearing this, the main character thought that he was mocking Janbar. However, she understands that since he was going to stay here, it means that she can trust him with Keel. The princess approaches the guys and asks what they are doing alone, especially at night, and suggests that it might be a lover's quarrel. Hearing this, the guys are surprised and ask what she is talking about, and the girl says that they can be quieter because she is just joking. The lady turns to Genix and says that she will make him responsible for training Keel because she knows that he has been in the human world for a long time, and if he copes during the invasion, she will leave him as an advisor. Hearing this, the demon asks in surprise how she can do this to a half-breed, and the princess claims that he is smarter than him. A few days later, the main character screams and says that she has done everything and written down all the main points, and therefore believes that she can now live peacefully until the end of the novel. But just in case, she will make a copy with the help of magic. Bella thinks that she doesn't have to sit in the office anymore. And when she entered the main room, she thought that something had changed in the house, and she wondered if she had really been in the office for so long. The princess asks what table this is. Janique explains that her order has arrived, and he told her about it yesterday. The lady asks in surprise why they need so many plates when there are only 4 of them. He explains that a lot of them have broken recently. The main character understands that it was definitely a Janbar, since he can't do anything at all, and thinks that she needs to give him something other than cleaning. The girl asks where the Janbar is, and the half-breed explains that he is breaking plates again. Having heard this, she thought that he is a scoundrel who is going to destroy everything there. When the demon saw the lady, he pointed his finger at the boy and insisted that he did it. Bella wonders if he decided to blame everything on Keel. Hearing this, the boy apologized, and the lady asks what the vase is doing here at all, since she thinks it is dangerous. Genix says that the gentleman put her there because he thought she would like her. The girl says that it is clear to her then, and asks why the plates are broken. Genbar claims that the boy did this too, and the princess says that it is not a big deal because she thinks that plates can always be bought new, and asks Jenica if he agrees. The half-breed asks the mistress if she will say the same if he breaks them. The princess asks if his head can grow like the Genbar. And at this time, the boy does not understand why she treats him so well, and suggests that maybe instead of sacred powers, they sent him Bella. Keel reflects on the fact that the lady buys his favorite books that he wants, and always takes care of him as if she knows what he needs, and even looks at him with such care. The young gentleman thought that her warm breath was warming him. The main character looks around the house and doesn't understand why all the furniture is now here, since it was on the second floor, and Keel looks tired. The girl asks if he made the boy work while she was away, and also asks if he puts poison in his food. The guy says that even though he is a half-breed, he would not do such a thing. Janbar claims that the poison has no effect on them. Jenik asks if he can even tell them apart. The demon says that they will find out if they try, and the half-breed says that he agrees. Keel tells the princess that it was not his doing, and that he did nothing. Hearing this, the Janbar claims that he is lying and considers it low, but he likes it, and the lady says that something is wrong here. Jenik reports that everything breaks only near the gentleman. The girl calls them idiots and offers to look because these plates were just there, but broke at the very moment they opened the door. The princess claims that they fell behind Keel and suggests that they see for themselves, since he couldn't break them himself, and therefore believes that it is definitely not the guy's fault. At this time, the boy thought that he was going to show himself from the best side so that she would not kick him out, but he realized that strange things continued to happen to him. Keel knows that it was only him there, and everything points to him, and that is why he was so scared, and he asks the princess if she believes him. The main character screams and asks how much they hurt this child, and the guys claim that they never hurt him. The lady asks if they even know about the presumption of innocence. The demon asks in surprise what it is. The lady explains that Keel said that it wasn't him, and then asks how one can accuse a child without evidence. Hearing this, the guy thought that the lady was so caring, and he was glad that Bella was on his side, because he thought that she was very smart and assumed that maybe this was a reward for all his suffering. The princess suggests looking at how he has lost weight due to stress, and he was already small, and they are making him even smaller. Janbar wonders who broke those plates then. Bella says that she thinks that it's not that simple, and that an investigation needs to be conducted, because she understands that they couldn't have grown legs. Keel asks the girl if she believes in the repair. Hearing this, the main character looked at the boy who was crying, and thought that in the novel, Keel never showed his true feelings. The girl does not understand how she should behave with him. In the evening, the boy asks the lady if they can sleep together. Bella agrees and offers to go to his room, and she will tell him something funny. Lying in bed, the main character thought that it seemed to her that she was worried in vain, because he still opened up to her and thinks that it is good. The princess looked at the boy and thought that he had such long and beautiful eyelashes, and all this was as befits the main character. Suddenly, the girl felt cold and thought that she couldn't let Keel get sick. Bella went out onto the balcony and saw a ghost, and then asked if he understood where he was. And he answered that he had always been there. The princess says that it takes her so much effort to finish the story, and then asks how he dared to touch Keel, and also asks if he understands what he did, and whether a ghost can live with demons. Red Eyes says that this is his home, and believes that people are much scarier than ghosts. The lady claims that the more he resists, the more he will receive in return. At this time, the boy woke up and thought that he couldn't let Bella know about the smell of loneliness and the terrible life. The ghost claims that he is a hindrance to others with his existence, and the boy is not accepted just like him. After all, the guy abandoned by everyone remained alive after he killed everyone. Keel ran out into the street and screamed calling for Bella, and at that time, the demon heard and also ran out into the street and asked where the mistress was. At this time, the half-breed thought that, as befits the future ruler of demons, evil filled every corner of their house. Janbek looked at the ghost and told the boy that he shouldn't worry about it because he immediately felt the negative energy of this house and believed that apparently a ghost lived here. Hearing this, the gentleman was surprised because he did not understand how this was connected with Bella at all. Keel ran up to the ghost, and the Janbar asked him to stand and said that this boy is important to the princess, and he cannot be allowed to die. At this time, the boy grabbed the girl by the hand, and the main character was surprised because she did not even imagine that he would save her. In a few minutes, the ghost was defeated by the princess. She looked at the boy and asked why he was crying, and then hugged him. Keel apologizes and explains that he just wanted to continue being there, but pretended that nothing was happening. He wonders if he should say that he was afraid of being thrown out on the street. The girl asks if he was worried that she might get hurt, and then claims that ghosts are not fit to hold a candle to her since she is the princess of the royal beasts. Bella tells the boy that the window in his room is broken, and so they will sleep in her room for a while. Hearing this, the half-breed thought that the princess of the demon world when she called him here. He thought that there was no one worse and more dangerous than her in the world. But the way she treats this person, he had never seen him before. Jenik became curious about what was so special about him. The demon says that he caught a ghost, and the main character says that he died, and therefore thinks that there should be no problems, and then asks how he dared to touch her Keela. The ghost asks to spare him and leave him alive, and then says that in the document for the land that he hid in the house. The princess asks if he wants to say that these are those very documents, and the ghost objects, and says that these are love potions and the documents are in the safe, and then says that if she spares him, he will tell where. Bella orders him to be sent to the demon world so that he can entertain the others. Hearing this, Janbar thinks that she is so kind, and Janik thinks that she is cruel and a real demon princess. After such a commotion, a lot changed in the house, and the Janbar no longer took out the keel, and the boy one day asked why he was so strong. The demon says that he is a small thing, and then asks if he really wants to become like him. The main character understands that the Janbaru has not been complimented for a long time, and the young gentleman claims that he wants to become as strong as he is. Initially, Janbar thought that Keel would get tired quickly, so he forced him to do various training sessions. But after seeing his sincere efforts, he became much more serious, and by the time summer came, the blush returned to Keel's face. Janik also worked hard to teach the boy, and she even made a curriculum for him based on key points from the novel, because she knows that the boy has already learned everything. The half-breed says that the young master turned out to be much more diligent than he thought, and answers all the questions. The princess says that she understands, and then suggests taking a new topic. Jenik, surprised, tells the lady that this is a spell, and then asks if she is sure, because he is not omnipotent. Since he cooks food, cleans, washes clothes, teaches the master, and their house is big, and therefore it is very difficult for him alone. The princess tells him not to worry, because she knows that he is tired, and therefore has already contacted the demon world. The half-breed asks in surprise since when he became a gen. So they have a new maid in their house, and her name is Fur from the animal kingdom. Keel looked in surprise at the bear, who said that he was ready to work without rest for him. Bella wonders who is next to him since she only called him. Fur replies that it is her friend, and she knows more than all of them about the human world. The girl in the red cape greets them and says that she is the supreme demon nightmare Ivor, and then throws the cape. At this time, the princess closes the boy's eyes and tells her to quickly put on her cloak, and then tells her to leave. Ivor turns to the princess and claims that she needs a servant and that she will be better than this bear, but the lady tells her to just leave. The girl with blue hair touches Jenik, and he screams and asks what she is doing. Ivor explains that she has chained his heart, and if she is not there, he will die. Hearing this, the princess got angry and asked if she was blackmailing her now. Hearing this, the lady objects and explains that she is only asking to give her a chance, because in 5 years the heart will return anyway, and if she does not change her mind, then she will leave herself. The main character understands that this spell is similar to the demon's oath, and the demon can take a person's heart, but in exchange he must always be nearby, and believes that this is a cunning plan, which is what one would expect from a nightmare demon. Bella wonders why she wants to stay here like this. Ivor touches the half-breed and says that all the demons are going crazy because of him. At this time, the princess thought that in this house, the generic works best, and without it, she will not be able to grow a keel. She thinks that she needs to calm down, because the most important thing is to follow the original, and then agrees, but only for 5 years. The princess suggests signing a contract first. After that day, Bella sometimes told the boy fairy tales, and it was fun to listen to new stories. But he didn't really like fairy tales about princes and princesses. After all, girls or poisonous fruits pricked themselves on a poisoned needle of a spindle, always went through many trials, and in the end, they were easily saved by a prince, and then a wedding, and they lived happily ever after. The new reality is not like that. Keel knew that this could not happen with his savior, whom they met under random circumstances, but he assumes that maybe in her world everything is different. The young lady says that then the princess kissed the frog, and then boom and smoke started coming out, and so she lifted the curse from the prince, and they lived happily ever after. Hearing this, the guy thought that a wedding is after one kiss, and this means that in the animal world, a kiss guarantees that they will live together for life, and he decides to take advantage of his position and asks what a kiss is, and pretends that he knows nothing. Keel asks how people kiss. At this time, the main character thought that her niece was 3 years old, and even Shiyun asked her to kiss her, and she became interested in whether her mother had never kissed a boy. Bella kisses the guy on the cheek, and then says that it's done like this, and he asks if it's okay to kiss only princesses. She objects and says that he can do it with the person he likes. The young gentleman kissed the girl, and then saw how surprised she was, and said that she herself told him to kiss those he liked. At this time, the main character understood what a heart attack is, but she is happy, and therefore she wanted to get into a romance, because this is the best thing that could happen. The next day, Ivor says that today she will demonstrate her skills to them. Jennick asks in surprise what kind of holiday it is, and the demon asks why they make the food so complicated. She explains that today is the master's birthday, and asks if they knew that today is Keel's 10th birthday. The princess says that the main character is entitled to a crown, and therefore offers to hold it, and then they began to sing a happy birthday song. Bella asks the boys why they don't sing. The half-breed explains that he is hearing this song for the first time, and the girl says that she will teach them later, and therefore suggests holding off on the song, and asks the boy if he wants anything. After all, she promises to fulfill any of his wishes. The she-bear says that she wants to go hunting. Ivor suggests going to the city, since she hasn't eaten men for a long time, and the demon claims that any man will do for him, but Generic said that only the birthday boy can make a wish. The princess says that only the birthday boy can make a wish, and then asks if it is clear to them, and suggests that they remember that from now on, November 10th is Keel's day. Hearing this, the boy was surprised, because he became interested in how she knew his birthday. On November 10th, Keel was officially recognized as a prince, and this date became his birthday. But there are still 10 years before that, and he does not understand how the princess found out about this, and thinks that if she knows who he is, and that he is actually 18. The young gentleman asks why it is his birthday today. The lady whispers in her ear, and says that it is a secret, and that an angel came to her at night to tell her about it, and suggests that he quickly say his wish that he wants to do. Hearing this, the boy thought that maybe it was just a coincidence, and then said that he wants to become a prince. The girl says that this is great, and then says that from today on, Keel is their prince, and at that time, she thought about the fact that he is considered one from the moment of his birth, and then turns to the guys and asks if they heard, and orders them to now call Keel a prince. The she-bear says that she would like to play something with the prince, and it could be hide and seek, and he stays here, and the others will run to hide, and those who are caught can be eaten. Hearing this, the princess screams and asks what she is saying, and does not understand why she is playing hide and seek with the prince. The she-bear explains that Ivor said she wanted to play hide and seek with the master and then eat him. The girl with blue hair claims that they got it all wrong. Janique asks if they can just play by human rules, and they end up playing regular hide and seek. The princess says that according to the rules, you can only run on your own 2 feet, and you can't fly either. The she-bear asks the princess why she is so protective of the master. She replies that it is because he is a child, and the she-bear says that she is also still a girl. Bella explains that this is because she was born 200 years ago, and the demon says that at this age, mice are still considered children and only mature at the age of 500 years, and therefore says that they can protect her. The main character agrees and says that she will take care of her too. Fur hugs her and says that she is very happy, and then claims that tomorrow she will be the prince. The princess asks if they will play something else. And at this time, the young gentleman thought that now he should ask her for it while he is still a child, and says that since today is his day, he proposes to get married. Hearing this, the little bear says that then she will get married tomorrow, and the girl asks if they can marry the prince and the fur. Keel thought that this was nonsense, and he had only one wish, and he does not understand why everything turned out this way. Bella says that people and animals cannot be together. Hearing this, the young gentleman thought that it was impossible that the princess had married a frog, and wasn't this a common thing in the animal kingdom? The boy reflects on the fact that they cannot be together with people, and he knows nothing at all about the animal kingdom. But it was not mentioned in class, and he wonders if this place is closed to others. However, he assumes that there may be more information in the imperial castle. After all sorts of books are stored there, but he believes that everything needs to be thought through first, because he doesn't want to sit in the room all the time again. The guy thought that he needed to conduct an investigation to find a force that could protect him, because before he relied on his amulet, but now he needs to become stronger himself. Bella looked at the half-breed and thought about how a couple of days ago he said that he was feeling unwell and thought that she couldn't leave the most adequate worker in this house, and then asked what was wrong with him. Jennick explains that it's the gentleman's birthday, and the girl asks if he's talking about the song with congratulations. He says that it's not about that, and explains that it's a marriage proposal. The princess asks in surprise what's wrong, and then says that she doesn't judge anyone. It's just that Fur was being too emotional, and to be honest, she likes people more, and then claims that she's not lying. The girl thought that there was nothing to be done, and she would have to tell him the whole truth, and then she said that, to be honest, Keel really is a prince. She claims that this is true, and then asks what if the boy had gotten into trouble and made a contract with a demon, and suggests that he think about it himself since he was speaking from the fur. Hearing this, the half-breed says that this changes everything, and then says that he knows that the lady takes great care of the young master, but he is not a prince since all members of the imperial family have magic, but the master does not have the ability to do so. Bella says that she is not asking to believe her, but suggests that she just remember that she doesn't care about Jennick's origins, because she trusts him more than anyone else in this house. Hearing this, he thought that the princess was not at all like the Demon King. The lady asks if he knows where to buy a sword. Jen, surprised, asks why she needs it, and the girl replies that it is for Keel. The main character thought about what she realized during the game of hide-and-seek, that he is too slow, and without sacred powers the young master is helpless, and therefore she will follow the example of lions who push their children off the cliff, and thinks that it will be better to start his training now. Jen says that it will be difficult to find a normal sword in their village and suggests going to the city, and the lady then orders to prepare a carriage. The princess says that he was able to get a carriage after all, and the half-breed explains that the tavern owner said that they could use it at any time. After all, he also complained that she demanded 10 gold pieces from him. Bella says that it is his own fault, because he believes that he should have warned that a ghost lives here. The young gentleman asks the girl where she is going. She answers that she wants to buy him a sword, and asks if she will go with her. The guy thought that he just wanted to learn fencing and agrees to go. Ever says that she is going with them, and then asks if they remember that without her, Jenny will die. Dysor is the main city in the duchy, and you can find anything there. Keel asks what kind of building this is, and Jen explains that it is a temple, and people pray to God there, and it is the largest in the south. It also contains many sacred relics. The young gentleman suggests the princess to go there next time, and she agrees, but she realized that she is a demon and she cannot go there. The boy says with delight that there is even an object from the demon world, and the girl says that they are not going there right now anyway. Keel reports that only in this temple is there such a catch as someone's tail. Suddenly, the carriage shook and Jen fell on the princess. She screams and asks if he has gone mad, and the half-breed explains that he did not do it of his own free will, and then asks Ivor what happened. The lady with blue hair says that it is something funny, but suddenly a cat runs across the road, and the carriage overturns. Jenny screams and asks why she didn't look at the road, because she thinks she should have gone around. She explains that the rock fell so suddenly, and the guy asks where it came from if it wasn't even raining. Bella used magic to put the carriage in the right direction, and then said that the wheels were broken and needed to be replaced with new ones. At that time, the girl thought that if she were alone, she would have simply left the carriage. But now she had Keel and a terribly cunning nightmare demon with her. The half-breed asks if she can run to the village for new wheels. Hearing this, the lady is surprised and asks if this is his plan, since she thinks he is trying to manipulate his superiors, and then says that he is right, since it won't take her much time. The girl says that she will be back in an hour and suggests that they rest during this time, since she believes that nothing will happen if they are without her. When the princess returned, she saw that the horse was no longer alive, and Jen was covered in red liquid. She screamed and asked what happened and where Ivor and Keel were. The half-breed tells the mistress that it is a trap because they were attacked by bandits who found out that Ivor is a nightmare demon and tried to kidnap her. Bella asks where Keel is. He replies that they took him and also took the sacred amulet. Jen tells the lady that she can't use magic so easily because if anyone finds out that she is now in the human world, the princess tells the Janbar to go with her, and with the help of magic, she quickly came to the robbers. The bandits screaming say that they are attacked and need to catch the criminals. The main character tells the demon to eat them all because the smell of red liquid from here carries for a kilometer, and they brought Keel here. When the girl saw the boy, and next to him lay Ivor, who was immersed in eternal sleep. The lady asks how he is, and if he hears her, and also wonders what they did to him, and at that time, she thought that she would finish them all off. Keel touches the lady's face and asks if she is okay. Hearing this, the girl does not understand why he asks this, and then says that she is okay, and reminds that she already said that the princess of animals is the strongest of all. Suddenly, Ivor asks the lady to save her too, and the princess asks her to wait a minute, and then takes the sword and asks what it is. The blue-haired lady thought that she couldn't recover quickly because it was a sacred relic, and the damn Elios made this sword. The princess asks Ivor if she is okay. The lady replies that if she gives her one man to eat, then she will be okay because she needs someone active. The demon tells the lady that he has dealt with them and then says that he will bring General. She objects and says that they will go to him themselves since they still need to buy a sword. Janbar suggests simply stealing their sword and taking all the weapons and going to him. Bella agrees and says that if he finds something valuable, let him take it. Ivor is informed that she has returned, and the lady says that she sees that she is fine, and as if she was reborn. She offers the princess to eat someone too. The lady refuses, and Ivor claims that at such moments she does not at all look like a princess from the kingdom of animals. At this time, the main character thought that she understood that it was not important because the power of demons comes from the life energy of others, and she believed that now it would not hurt her because she had not yet forgotten her past life when she worked in the police, so she would never eat a person. Suddenly, the girl realized that all her magic was being absorbed, and she didn't understand what kind of crazy elites made this sword, and thought that he probably spent his whole life creating it, and assumed that it was probably from the temple, and she even found it funny that the robbers were able to steal it so easily. Bella thought that she might not go to the city because these swords are in excellent condition, and then she says that it is a busy day, and she was surprised that Jen recovered so quickly and thinks that apparently it is all about his origin. The princess gives the young master a sword and asks if he will take it, and then tells him to consider it his birthday present. The boy asks if it is possible to give something stolen, and the girl claims that they did not steal it, but found it. He asks what kind of nonsense is this, since he does not give something he found on the street. The main character says that she thinks that this sword is too big for the master, and therefore there is no use from it. She turns to the guys and says that she is very tired today, and therefore suggests that it is better not to irritate her. Jen reports that they were able to steal a lot of useful things, and that they also have income from selling love potions, and then asks if they should hire a good teacher. The princess tells him not to worry, but to simply teach the boy basic techniques and show him how to hold a sword, and Janbar will take care of his training. Hearing this, the half-breed is surprised and asks if the mistress is sure, and the lady says that they should become friends already. Keel, watching the girl, reflects on the fact that he still does not understand why she does all this. After all, at first he wanted to win Bella's favor so that he would not be kicked out of here, and he does not understand how he deserved such an attitude towards himself because he did not think that he would become attached to her so quickly. The boy realizes that it looks like he doesn't have to try to please her anymore, and then tells the lady that Ivor gave him a cookie and asks if she wants to eat with him. He takes one cookie and says that she said A. At this time, the young gentleman thought that now that he no longer needed to curry favor with her, he understood for some reason that he himself wanted to do this. And when winter came, the main character thought that it was time for her to meet with secondary characters. Because she understands that at this age, Keel must definitely meet the person who supported their relationship with Rosanna. After all, the friend who helped strengthen their love is May. The princess thought that she could ignore the other settings of the universe, but not hers, because she believes that this relationship began one cold winter day when Keel shared bread with her, and he was about 12 years old. The girl became interested in where Maya was now, because she tried to find her, but their meeting place was not indicated, and then she said that she would go and take a walk, because she believed that this was the best way to find a person. Bella thinks that nothing will happen if she is gone for a while, and she certainly doesn't want to leave, but if she can't find her, and thinks that she should leave Jenny in charge and go looking for her, because she doesn't think that anything will happen. Keel asks Ivor what she is doing. The lady replies that it is a game and the best position for it to think. He says that it is clear to him, and then asks what she is thinking about. Ivor says that she is worried that the princess has not returned yet. Hearing this, the boy became interested in whether she has left for a long time and asks if Bella will return. The girl objects and says that of course their mistress will return. Keel asks the bear cub when Bella will return. She answers that she does not know. The guy asks in surprise if they really don't know, or if they're just pretending. But when he doesn't hear an answer, he goes to Janbar and screams, telling him to get up, and then asks where Bella went and when she'll be back. He replies that he doesn't know anything, and the boy claims that he is the commander-in-chief of the kingdom of animals, and wonders if he doesn't even know this, and if he's not worried at all since his princess left. The demon says that he is of course worried, and then asks if she decided to leave them, because she thinks that she didn't have high expectations, and it's easier to be alone. Janbar looked at the young gentleman and asked why he was crying, and then explained that she left because of his weakness, and suggested that it would be better to ask Jen, since maybe he knows a lot of things. Keel asks the half-breed when the mistress will return. Hearing this, the red-haired guy thought that the boy constantly asks this, and if the princess had said when she would return, or at least where she had gone, he would not have to lie now, and he understands that demons do not think about the time of people at all, but he thinks that this is too much. Jen understands that for them a week is like a day, but for a child it is like a whole year, and then she turns to the master and advises not to trust the lady, because she believes that later it could be very painful, because people have a conscience, but demons do not. At this time, the main character thought that she had failed again, and she did not understand how she could find a girl with ordinary brown hair in such a place, and she thought that it seemed like random meetings were random, and thought about returning home. However, the princess wants to, because she is obliged to achieve the original ending, because she does not want to live there for another 500 years. And she understands that she must turn on her head because Maya became Rosanna's maid through a recruitment agency, and she thinks that then she just needs to find out where they post vacancies. Bella thinks that she should go home to Rosanna in Facilia County. With the help of magic, the girl quickly got there, and when she saw the garden, she was very surprised because she realized that in comparison to it, their home was an ordinary training ground. The main character transformed into a cat and quickly entered the house, and when she saw the report, she was surprised because a lot of money comes every month as taxes, and it turns out that you can have many tutors. But she only bothers Janika, and even without payment, and this made her feel somehow awkward. Suddenly, a girl comes into the room and tells the nanny that she saw a cat, and at that time, the main character thought that she needed to run. The maid addresses the lady and calls her Rosanna. When the girl heard this, she lingered, because she realized that she had found the main character of the novel. The nanny tells the lady that you can't grab the cat by the tail, and the girl apologizes and asks the cat if it hurt. The princess thought that she was a kind child, like an angel, and the fate of Keel, who was ready to even leave her family for him. And Keel, to make her a princess, began to fight for the place of the crown prince. Then he went to the world of demons. The cat scratched the girl on the face and then quickly ran away. When Bella saw the baby's face, she did not understand what she had done to the main character. And the nanny screamed, calling her insignificant and asking how she dared to scratch the lady's face. Roseanne says it's her fault for hugging her so abruptly. The butler says the cat has red eyes, and then says it's a demonic animal. Hearing this, the main character thought that she gets caught too often and then quickly leaves, and with the help of magic is reborn as a princess, but does not understand why she did this and hurt the main character because she thinks that she is behaving just like a real villain. Bella wondered if the girl would have a scar, and just below her face she could have scratched her neck, and does not understand what is happening to her, and thinks that maybe it is all about her character, since she is becoming more and more like a villain. The main character thought that she should come to her senses, because first she needs to find Maya. She approaches the guy and says that she is looking for a maid for the estate, about 10 years old, with brown hair, and asks if there are any. The guy says that of course there is and one is definitely suitable, and then says that her name is Arena, and she cleans very well. Hearing this name, the girl thought that it was a failure again, and the man asks if she is looking for a specific one. The guy says that he understands that many are looking for such children. The main character was surprised to hear this because she does not understand what it means. He says that there are children who have no roof over their heads and no money in their pockets, and no one will look for them if they suddenly disappear. Bella asks if they trade in people and then asks where these children are. When the lady went out into the street, she saw a girl who was begging. She gave her a coin and asked her name. The baby says that her name is Maya. Hearing this, the main character thought that she had finally found what she had been looking for so long, and thought that she would be happy about this. But she realized that they were not supposed to meet like this. In the novel, it was said that this fleeting meeting happened in childhood, and Keel and Maya then survived being on the verge of life and death several times, and together full of dangers alone. The princess returned home in the form of a cat, and she was very exhausted. The boys were happy when they saw the lady, and Keel began to take care of her. Jenny says that the princess has become a cat, and it looks like she has used too much energy. The boy asks if she is sick, and Eva assures him not to worry, because he thinks that the lady will recover quickly, and then says that if he is so worried, then he should look after her. Keel asks in surprise if it is possible. Ivor asks if anyone in this house can forbid him anything, and then suggests that they go to bed because they will see each other tomorrow. When the boy was lying in bed, he looked at the cat and thought that she had returned, and understood that while she was gone, he realized how happy he was with her, and if there was such an opportunity, he would stop time and stay in this house forever. When the main character had rested, she thought that she had become a cat, and realized that she had apparently used too much energy. The boy asks if she is in pain, and then says that he will be there until she recovers. And at that time, the girl thought that next to him, all her worries evaporate, and she wanted to stay like that forever, without thinking about the ending of the novel. The next day, the girl says that it is very nice to be at home, because she hasn't bathed like that for a long time, and thinks that it's time to meet with Maya. Ruth looked at the girl and thought that yesterday it was a real cat, and thought that she couldn't have mistaken the princess. Janbar tells her not to panic, because he thinks she might have gone out on business. Jen asks how Bella could leave in such a state, and Iver suggests he look for the mistress, because he can't stand it anymore. The main character asks the boys what they are doing, and the boy didn't think long, quickly ran up to her and hugged her. The Keel again. They object and assure that it is not so at all, and the she-bear says that the Jinbar only took out a little bit, and nobody touched him otherwise. The demon asks when this happened, and the she-bear explains that he will make the master cry. Jen explains that the master was simply worried about them. Bella asks the boy if it's true, and he explains that he was afraid that she wouldn't come back. The lady says that she understands, because he was so worried, and at that time he thought that it can be difficult with him, but his smile alone is enough to bring her to her senses. Jen asks for Ivor stay already, and she asks in surprise why, because she thinks that they literally live in one body. and the half-breed claims that this is not a reason to stick to him so much. At this time, the main character, watching them, thought that Genic was trying harder than anyone else and was thinking about what it might take to reward him, and then she turned to Ivor and ordered him to return his heart, because he promised that he would not drive her away. Hearing this, the lady with blue hair was happy, and Jen said that they make elixirs from her red liquid, and they started arguing with each other again. At this time, the princess does not understand how she is holding on, because she understands that by any means necessary to achieve the original ending, because she will not live with them for 500 years. Keel, walking around the city, does not understand where they are. And Bella looked at the girl and says that she finally found her and thinks that they will move forward in the plot. She turns to the boy and asks if he sees that girl with brown hair and asks if he wants to share bread with her. The young gentleman asks in surprise why. And the lady explains that it is in order to make friends with her, since he is a human being, and he needs to learn to be friends with other people. Keel objects and says that he does not want to, but the princess claims that she might help him later. He asks in surprise how the girl could know this. Bella explains that she is the princess of the animal kingdom and knows a lot, and says that they will not return home until he greets her. The guy understood that he had to do it, and then went to the girl and thought that everything was strange from the very beginning, because he himself once wandered these streets in search of shelter, and he thinks that she knows everything about his life, but assumes that maybe it's just a coincidence. The boy thought that since Bella wanted it so much, he should do it, and then he threw the bread to the girl and told her to eat. He returned to the lady and said that he gave her the bread. The princess claims that he is a good man and asks if he told her his name. Keel replies that he did, and the girl asks her name and how long she has been one, and also asks how old she is and where her parents are. The main character says that her throat is dry and asks if he can give her some milk too, and the boy agrees to do so. He approaches the beggar and says that if she answers his questions, he will give it to her. The young lady realizes that they have finally reached an important plot line and thinks that it would be great if they continue in the same spirit. She looks at the tower and realizes that this is where the magician called them. The girl asks if there is anyone else there. Jen answers that there is one gloomy guy, and he tries not to catch anyone's eye. Bella asks him in surprise how he knows. The half-blood replies that he has already met him and that he was the one who told him about the summoning circles. Hearing this, the main character was scared, and he tells her not to be afraid because he is not able to summon her, but he is able to summon all demons up to the level of Janbar. The magic circle is like an address, and if the magic power is not enough, the summoning happens randomly. Jen says that he couldn't even summon a Janbar, let alone her, and then asks if she wanted to get to the human world. The half-breed looked at the princess and said that, judging by her reaction, it was true. She asked if he knew what was needed for the summoning. Jen answers that the life of one, and then asks in surprise if she really met the young gentleman there, and at that time thought that he of course knew that life was needed in return. Bella says that he was careful from now on, because no one knows how Keel will react to this. The main character understands that thanks to this call, she was able to save Keel, and if she had not come to the world of people and finished off that magician, they would have taken the boy's life. The young lady reflects that everything is fine, because Keel would have gotten out of there anyway, and she understands that almost all the main characters have a difficult childhood, and it is enough for her that everything is fine with him. At this time, the main character thinks about what the summoning means, that by the kingdom of animals she means another world, and for example, the world of demons or Elios. He understands that Genic knows the magic of summoning, and Bella appeared here precisely because of her. The princess understands that two things have changed since the past, and she is interested in how the young master will react to this. After all, the first is the appearance of Bella, and the second is the revelation of the amulet's powers. The boy knows that Bella taught him everything that interests him, and if he were a commoner, she would not have left him, but he assumes that perhaps she knows about his position in society. Ivor says that in honor of the release of Jen's heart, she prepared dinner. The boys are surprised and ask if they can eat all of this. Suddenly, the girl looks at the boy and asks what's wrong with his face and what happened and if he cried. Keel reports that he lost his mother's amulet. Hearing this, the main character screams and asks where he lost it and when it happened. The boy explains that before arriving at the house, he was with him, but after, the lady interrupts him and asks which of them took it and tells him to confess quickly. The demon asks why they need a human thing, and the princess screams and says that they knew that it was very valuable and then tells them to quickly go look for it. Bella asks how it was possible to lose it because she understands that this thing is very important, and at that time, she thought that only with its help can she prove that Keel is a prince. At this time, the young gentleman thought that she was speaking just like his mother, since she always repeated that he needed to be more careful since special blood flows through him. Keel asks Bella if she knows what it means and asks her to tell him. She says that, to be honest, his father is the emperor of this country, and she understands that now it is difficult for the boy to believe in it. But one day, he will take him to the castle. The young gentleman asks in surprise how she knows about this. Hearing this, the main character thought that she understood that sooner or later this day would come, so she came up with an excuse in advance. The princess says that the goddesses of fate told her this and said that she should help him because she should not be more careful so as not to change fate. The boy asks if that's why she treats him well. She explains that she just likes him and then gives him the amulet and says that she found it and suggests that he not lose it again. Keel thanked the princess and kissed her in gratitude. Jen, watching this, says that he found the amulet for the master, and the boy also thanked him. The half-breed explains that he did not ask to kiss him and believes that one should not do this to just anyone. And at this time, the main character thought that the boy was so cute, and he kissed her on the cheek, but on the lips for the first time. Sitting at the dinner table, Fur says that she hasn't eaten anything, and Iver says that her whole face is covered in sauce. The she-bear says that she hasn't eaten, but just put her lips to it. Jen reflects that if his memory serves him right, the young master's amulet contains protective magic, and he bribed the emperor to contact the palace magician. The half-breed says that the young master is indeed the crown prince, and the girl reminds him that she already told him about this and asks if he trusts her, and then says that she told Keel about this too. Jenik was surprised to hear this, and then said that it was a secret. Bella thought that maybe before moving to the castle, Keel wouldn't have developed social skills, and she would like him to make friends with the village children. The princess says that it would be great if the young master could train with his peers. She says that they could open a fencing academy in their home and invite all the local children to join. Jen wonders if he will have to do this too. The lady says that he has enough work without Togo, and therefore she will entrust this matter to the Janbar. And he asks if the princess is sure that this is a good idea. The half-breed imagined how it would all work and understood that in the end, he would be the one doing it. The girl explains that there is no need for any complicated training, and if she notices someone talented, she can work with him personally. Jen says that he only has one body. Bella says that it's enough to be indignant. Otherwise, she will divide it in two, and reminds that she asked not to complain about the amount of work, since they must support Keel until he becomes the crown prince. And in return, she promises to make sure that no one else dares to call him a half-breed. A few days later, at the fencing academy, Jen says that the organization has exceeded all his expectations and then asks the princess where she learned it. Hearing this, the main character thought that in her past life, she had already systematized training by levels, and she hopes that Keel will make friends with someone. The princess looked at the boy and thought that maybe he was uncomfortable with so many new people because he was not showing any initiative at all, and therefore thought that it would be necessary to talk to him. When the girl came to the guys, the boy said in surprise that she was very beautiful. He approached her and asked who she was and how old she was. The young lady greeted the boys and said that her name was Bella and that she lived here. Hearing this, the boys reported that everyone said that she was a scary person. Hearing this, the main character thought about the rumors going around in her village and then asked if she really looked like that. Keel thought that after the classes started, she hardly left the mansion and did not understand why the guys all surrounded her. The princess tells the boys that this is Keel and that they will train together and therefore invites them to become friends. A few days later, Iver thought that it was good that the lady was busy, and at that time, the boy thought that he didn't like it at all, and then asked where Bella was. The lady with blue hair answers that she has business in the village and seems to be meeting with her parents. She looks out the window and says that he is here again and then asks what the boy's name is. The young gentleman says that he is Bien. Bien asks if Bella is at home. Keel replied that the lady was not at home and thought that he was not even a student at the academy, but came every day to chat with Bella. The guy gives him a basket and tells him to give it to the lady from his mother. Having heard this, the young gentleman thought that now he was also openly showing sympathy towards her and then saying that she doesn't like apples. Bien asks in surprise if this is true, and then says that he remembers Bella asking him to bake a pie with them. Ever tells the master that she made dessert for him. Meanwhile, Bien says that Bella's little brother is very stubborn. Hearing this, the guy thought about whether Bella was really telling everyone that he was her brother, since he didn't even imagine that she could say such a thing. Ivor reports that they are in trouble because the gentleman left more than half of the plate untouched and said that he has no appetite and is walking around sad. Janbar says that he has become even weaker since his arrival here, and the guy with red hair thinks that something seems to have happened. Ivor understands that if they say that he is sick, the princess will be very worried. But Jen thinks that it is still worth telling, and they decided that Roof will do it. The bear screams and says that she is just a stupid bear who cannot express her thoughts normally, and then says that she will be fired. Ivor assures that he can fur, and when he returns, he promises that he will catch her a tasty rabbit. Hearing this, the she-bear suggests that she swear, and at this time a young gentleman enters the room and asks what this oath is and what they are talking about. Bella thought that she was going to hold a parent-teacher meeting, but she was lucky because she asked the gentleman if he could sell the love potion at a higher price. The main character thinks that the fencing academy is going great, and even the mercenaries are also showing interest, and now she can sell elixirs in the Chamber of Commerce, and everything has been going smoothly lately. The princess asks the boy what he is doing. Keel replies that he is looking at the stars, and thought that it is the first time he looks at the night sky like this, and asks the girl if it is beautiful. The lady asks if it is interesting to watch the stars. He answers that it is interesting because they change every day, and therefore, even without a calendar, you can understand what day it is. The boy reflects on the fact that when you live on the street, there is nothing. But if you look at the night sky, you get the feeling that he owns everything and thinks that this may be just a delusion. Bella says that a star is falling, and if you make a wish, it will come true. And then she turns to the guy and says that she can fulfill his wish. Keel asks in surprise if everything is absolutely right. She says that of course, since she is the princess of the animal kingdom. The boy touches her hand and then suggests that they swear first. Hearing this, the girl asks in surprise where he knows such a word from. The young gentleman explains that Fur and Ivor told him that in the animal kingdom, this is how the strongest promise is punished. At this time, the main character thought that the oath with her is equal to the oath with the ruler of all demons, and believes that it will be difficult. But for the sake of Keel's happiness, she is ready to do anything. Bella agrees and offers to do so, and then says that she will fulfill any of his wishes when he becomes a prince, and at that time, she thought that then she will no longer be in this world, and they will consider this her last will. The princess tells the guy that when he becomes a prince, she will fulfill any of his wishes, no matter what they may be, even if she is gone, and with the help of magic, she secured this oath. At this time, the boys thought about how lucky they were that they didn't have to tell the lady. Ivor tells Fur that she already caught her a rabbit. Jen says that you can't deceive blood. The main character, watching the boy through the window, asks why. He claims that the gentleman is really smart because he used to read one book a month, but now he only reads one book a week. The girl understands that he was even able to make friends with the guys, and he is growing up to be a great boy and believes that the empire will prosper with him. And then she says that she does not understand how the others hold on. Janbar dreams of eating someone, and the lady says that when he returns to the demon world, he can eat as much as he wants. He says that a bear that eats salmon or a nightmare demon that tries to eat life energy are all different from half-breeds. Hearing this, the princess says that Jen also said the same, and then says that they can't get each other, so they get mad, and that's how they are similar. Janbar screams and asks where they are similar because he thinks that he is a half-breed. And the young lady says that there is no need to be so nervous about her words. Ivor asks the lady why she is like this, and wonders if it is true that she does not understand anything, and then says that earlier there were Janbar and Jen. Meanwhile, the Black Panther attacked the girl with blue hair. She asks to let her go because she won't say anything, and the Yunbar says that she can blab with her teeth closed. At this time, the boy watching them thought that maybe they would suddenly fall and talks about it. Jen suggests not to worry because they are stronger than he thinks. The main character asks what they are talking about and asks to explain first. Keel says that they are real monsters, and he is not an animal, and asks if he can become as strong. Jen explains that not so much, but he can defeat them. But for this, he needs physical strength, and believes that his efforts will not be in vain, and suggests continuing their training. The girl thought that she could raise the price of the elixir of love a little more, because she adores money, but it's a pity that there are no aristocrats nearby to whom she could sell everything. Bella reflects on the fact that Keel is already 12, and he is growing into an excellent swordsman. She didn't even think that he was so talented. The main character understands that it is time to act because she believes that there will be no use in playing with swords like this. I turn to the young master and say that it is enough, and then orders him to attack her. Jen says in surprise that he didn't think she could fight with a sword. And at that time, the girl thought that even though it wasn't visible, she was a master of taekwondo and kendo with 10 years of experience. In a few minutes, the princess defeated the genie and then asks the young master if he wants to fight her. A few weeks later, Bella tells Keel that he lacks agility, and at that time, she thought that he really is incredibly talented, and one day the day will come when he will finish her off. However, for her, this is quite a happy ending, since he is still the main character of the novel. In the summer, Keel is 12 years old, and the main character turns to the children and says that the opening of the summer festival has taken place. The princess says that tomorrow begins, and thinks that if they leave now, they will come at night, and tells Dunbar to go ahead and find them a place to stay. Hearing this, he asks in surprise why he can't go with everyone in the carriage. The lady says that it is hot there, and that is why he needs to go now. He turns into a cat and thinks about how he was kicked out after all. Jen tells the boys to get ready, and then says that he took the Janbar's things, and the boy says that they are ready. Bella says that this is great and suggests that they go already. Fur screams and tells them to stand still, and then says that he will go with them. The princess says that bears are not allowed at the festival. Fur is surprised and asks why they never take her with them. The lady asks if she can take human form, and the she-bear says that even a half-breed goes and she doesn't. Jen asks who is to blame that she was born a bear. The girl says that they will bring her a gift and that she should not be too upset about it. In the city of Dazer, there was a summer festival. The main character asks her in surprise if there were better rooms, and the demon says that the more the better. Bella says that she will have to sleep with everyone, and Keel will be on her bed. Ivor says that he can sleep with her. Hearing this, the main character hugged him and said that it was decided that he will sleep with her. In the evening, the girl asks the young gentleman if he has ever been to a summer festival. He replies that he has never been, but has heard the song. The princess asks what song it is. Ivor explains that it was often sung during wartime. Then she sings that before the end of summer, she ties a red thread to see it bloom in the spring. The main character asks what red thread we are talking about. Ivor explains that if lovers tie a red thread on their hands and spend the night together on the last day of the holiday, they will remain together forever and after death will be reborn in front of the flowers in the garden of their beloved. Bella asks when this war was, and the lady with blue hair answers that it was about 200 years ago. The princess asks who fought with whom, and Ivor says that the half-breed knows better because of whom the demons were unable to penetrate the human world. Jen asks in surprise how he could know this, since it was a war between dragons and people. The ice dragon was then on the side of people. He set out in the fall to begin a battle with other dragons in the winter. And this holiday is more like a reminder of the value of time spent with him, and therefore each city has its own summer festival and celebrates it until autumn arrives. The main character thought that one day they would also separate. Keel asks the princess if they can tie a red thread tomorrow too. Having heard this, the girl was surprised, and Ivor explains that she didn't mean that by the word sleep and thinks that the gentleman is innocent and asks if she should teach him. The lady tells her to shut her mouth before she cuts out her tongue. The next day, Bella tells the boy to look, because they are like a couple. The demon says that the lady is like the sea at night, and the gentleman is like, what happens during the day? Janbar wonders why people worry about such nonsense. Ivor asks why he dressed up like that, and he asks if she has even seen herself. The lady with blue hair says that she is going to the festival and warns them right away that she might not return at night, and therefore suggests that they be careful, because there are a lot of thieves there. There were a lot of people and delicious food at the festival, but the girl was worried about losing the boy. Keel asks the princess if she is okay. The lady assures that everything is fine and all is well. Suddenly, Bella stained her dress with ice cream, and a stranger gave her a handkerchief. She says that she will wash it and then return it because they will be there until the end of the festival anyway, and ask where he lives. A stranger asks if she will come to the performance tomorrow. She says that it is a good idea and asks when it starts. The young man showed the place where the performance would take place and said that she could take her brother with her, but thought that he might be bored. The main character thought that perhaps he was familiar with Sharia, but she understood that if this was not the case, then she could meet him through him, because he was her second favorite. The princess asks what kind of performance will be there. However, she saw that Keel was angry and asks what's the matter. He says that he is not her younger brother, but the girl says that he may be the older one and asks if the older brother wants ice cream. Ivor invites the lady to go dancing, and the young lady asks the boy if he wants to go with her. At this time, the guy thought that he shouldn't forget about the grievances so quickly because of one of her smiles, but he doesn't understand why he agreed. Bella thinks that it would be a shame to go back like this, and then takes the boy by the hand, and they hide from Ivor and Janbar. The girl tells Keel that he must keep this a secret, and asks if he agrees, and then shows her phone and says that it is her secret. The main character takes a photo and reminds him not to tell anyone about it, and at that time, she thought that it would be okay if she had memories left. Janbar tells the lady that black suits her, and the gentleman too, and the lady asks if he will be the elder again today. Keel objects and refuses. Ivor saw the relay race of love, and the team that comes first will get a ticket to the hot springs, and then screaming says that they need to try. Ivor asks the young gentleman if he also wants to visit the hot springs. He says that he has never been there and therefore agrees. The main character screams and says that this is a game for adults, and then asks if she is in her right mind and therefore suggests playing without them. The lady with blue hair tells the boys to come with her. Jen asks why, because she thinks human games are not interesting at all. The princess says that Ivor is their source of money and therefore tells them to do what she wants. Bella tells the guy that it looks like it will be a long time, and then asks if they should go to the show because she wants to see what will happen there. Keel says that then the loser will fulfill the winner's wish. The main character says that she hasn't been to such places for a long time, and at that time she thought that they were both mistaken. The boy asks her if she likes pianists. She replies that they look cool and everyone is familiar with this composition. The lady thought about that very song, and then asks the guy if they will sing. Bella asks how it was when spring comes. They will become flowers, and Keel says that after hearing her voice, he will turn into a dream to meet her at night. At this time, the main character thought that when the summer ends, the young gentleman will turn 13 and 2 more years, and then 3 will remain. And the action of the novel will begin on the day when he meets his destiny. The princess hopes that she will be able to smile at him goodbye. The guy who lent her the scarf asks if she liked it. She returns the scarf and says that although the song is not particularly cheerful, she liked it. The guy with silver hair asks where they are from and where they live. The lady answers that they are from Illinois and thought that he would quickly take his scarf. A Facelia is nearby and asks if they can somehow have fun there. Hearing this, Keel objects and says that a bear lives in their house, and the young man suggests that they come to him and asks what their names are. Keel says that it would have been better if he had introduced himself first. The stranger thinks that her brother doesn't like him, and then tells her that his name is Juan Cruelia. Hearing this, the main character thought that this is Sharia's cousin, and he is a dangerous man who is unrequitedly in love with Rosanna. But he understands that he is still young. The girl says that her name is Bella Juan, says that she can show the handkerchief to the guards, and he hopes that they will see him again. Keel asks the lady if she really will go to him. The girl answers that she would like to meet, and at that time thought about her favorite Sharia, and then says that he is more important to her than anyone else. The princess tells him not to be upset by his words, because he is just very nice, and this guy thought he was her younger brother, and then says that this is Duke Crulia, and she will meet him again. Kiel claims that he is already 12, and is no longer a child, and will soon be 13. Hearing this, the princess asked for forgiveness, and asks if he was offended. The boy says that he went to see General. Ever happily says that they came third, and holds the juice because it is a gift for this place, and then asks the boy why he is so gloomy. The main character explains that he was offended that she called him cutie, and says that there will be fireworks very soon, and then asks if he will stop being offended by her. Bella says that later everyone will launch paper lanterns, and says that if you write your wish on it, it will definitely come true, and asks if he wants to try, and at that time, she thought about how he seizes any opportunity to make a wish. Kiel wonders if she wanted to call him a cutie again. Upon hearing this, the young lady thought that he was scary when he was angry. The princess asks what happened, and Iver says that apparently she overdid it with the joke because she accidentally pushed them, and they kissed. The main character asks in surprise what kind of jokes these are. The lady asks if the mistress knows, and then claims that the gentleman has already understood and wishes them luck. At the end of the evening, Iver says that it's a pity that everything ended so quickly. Bella happily says that if you write your wish on a lantern and launch it into the sky, it will definitely come true. She made a wish to meet Sharia, and then asks the boy if he has a wish. Kiel says that he will write his wish himself. Janbar says that no wish will come true so easily, and Jan says that he will also write it himself. The princess says that the device will light a fire, and the demon says that they have nothing and asks what to do. The main character suggests lighting it with magic, and then clicks her finger and says to be careful, and at this time, the fire was on the Janbar's shirt. Jen asks in surprise if the lady is training at all, and Ivor suggests that they better look for matches, but thanks to her magic, there were no witnesses, and then they launched their lanterns into the sky. Bella says she hopes their wish comes true. A few days later, Jen asks the lady how he should explain this to her, and she suggests trying again, and at that time, he thought that she really does not control her magic well, because in the demon world it is not particularly necessary, let alone here, and he understands that somewhere she was deceived. Bella says that she does not understand because she simply allowed them to meet, and the half-blood tells the mistress that the attack of magic should be completed in 1 or 2 seconds, and during this time, she needs to be able to calculate all the formulas and correctly direct it into magical power, because her opponent will have time to strike during this time. Hearing this, the main character thought that now she understands why they are so smart. At this time, the young gentleman was watching them, and he thought that he was worried that she would immediately respond to the invitation, and he was wondering how Bella knew about Sharia and Cruel, and understands that the lady is not going there yet, but she thinks that there are enough problems without Togo. The boy thought that it was easy for him to be nice because he was a child now, but he couldn't rely on that alone because he understood that he was still far from becoming an emperor. Ever asks the gentleman if he is looking for something. Kiel replies that he wanted to drink tea, and she says that she will bring it now. The lady with blue hair says that the lady is not at all interested in love affairs, and the boy says that maybe she already has a fiancé and asks if this is true. Ever tells her that she likes that he is so active, and then smiles. He tells her not to laugh because he is really interested. She says that he is very nice, and then tells her that the lady does not have a fiancé, but that is not his problem. The lady explains that the whole thing is that they started living together too early, and of course the lady will see him only as a younger brother, and then says that this is not a hopeless situation, and he needs to show her the other side of himself that is impossible to resist. Kiel asks how exactly, and at that moment, he thought that this lady has a lot of experience in love affairs. Ivor asks why Jen attracted Janbar so much, and the boy covered his ears and said that he did not hear anything, and at that time, he thought that he had asked her in vain. A few months later in winter, the main character screams and says that she can't do it anymore, and Jen says in surprise that they just started. The princess claims that she needs a rest, and at that time, she thought about the fact that last month Kiel turned 13, and she understands that even when you study with your favorite character, it is difficult to enjoy this time. Bella asks if there is a sea nearby. Jen answers that there is, but it takes a week to get there. The main character screams and asks who wants to go to the sea, and the guys look at her in surprise, and Ivir claims that this is a good idea and they are all for it. Jen says he can't believe they'll get a month off from the academy, and the bear asks if she can go too. The princess objects and explains that bears can't. Fur screams and asks why she can't go, because she wants to have fun with them too. Bella asks if a bear can travel in a carriage for 1 week, and the guy with red hair says that it would be great for everyone to go together and thinks that it doesn't have to be to the sea. Keel asks if they can take the van too, and upon hearing this, the main character does not understand how she can refuse him, but then agrees and says that then they will go to the mountains. The girl thought that she didn't want to die from the cold at this campsite and asked the boy if he was very cold. The princess asks Fur if she takes off her skin, how long will it take to recover? The she-bear asks the lady in surprise how she can say such a thing, and she explains that Keel is cold. The young gentleman asks the girl to hug him, and at this time, the main character thought that he would drive her crazy because she doesn't understand how she can resist him. The lady turns to the Janbar and tells him to go to the estate and bring clothes to Keel. He asks in surprise why he should do this, and the lady asks if he is asking her to go. The girl turns to the boy and says that the Janbar will soon bring him clothes and asks him to be patient a little longer, and at this time, the boy thought that it would be okay if he didn't return. The young master believes that this is not just affection or warm feelings for a family member, because he never thought that he would love Bella so much. Keel understands that he does not want to be just a younger brother for her who needs to be protected, although he really likes to hug her or hold hands, and when he hugs a girl, he dreams of living like that forever. Ivor asks the half-breed when they will make peace with the Janbar, and then says that they have already kissed and asks why they are hesitating. She says that there is nothing to be done. The demons have a lot of time, and you won't notice how a year will pass, and then says that for these two it will happen faster. Jen claims that the lady treats him so well only in order to later invade the human world. Upon hearing this, the blue-haired lady was surprised and said that she thinks that the lady really appreciates the young master. The guy claims that she is the strongest in the demon world and then asks why she would bother with a human. Ivor says that the lady is more like him, and the guy asks if she is sure that she is sincere with him. The lady asks which of them lives in the human world, and then claims that she can't even distinguish real feelings from fake ones. At this time, the main character, watching them, says that it seems to her that these two have become friends, and then says that the sun is already setting, and asks Jen if he will set up a tent. The princess tells Fur to bring firewood, Ivor to heat water and cook dinner, and Keel to warm up by the fire. The boy tells Bella that he will go help Fur. It objects and says that it is not necessary because it assumes that he might catch a cold. Janbar wonders what good is a man who can't even bring firewood, and Ivor tells the lady that the young master is not so weak. The main character asks if they will be responsible for his health. Keel claims that everything is fine, and he goes with the bear. Ivor asks the lady to help her, because the lake is frozen, and she can't break the ice. Bella kicks the ice and breaks it. Adam says with delight that she is the best. The princess thought about how she didn't like it, and then said she was going to check on the boy. Jen said the lady was exaggerating. At this time, the young gentleman thought that in the past, he often wandered through the mountains in search of shelter, but he understands that now everything is different because he has a warm home, food, and family, as well as one wonderful person who constantly smiles at him, and he would like to stop time. Keel ponders that when he returns to the Emperor's castle, he wonders if Bella will stay with him. He also assumes that after his departure, she might fall in love with someone else. The boy understands that she has already influenced his life, because he really thought that he would die without sacred powers, and therefore believes that it is necessary to fix this as soon as possible, so that no one else dares to say that he cannot be a member of the ruling family due to the lack of mana. Keel thought that he didn't want to go through this again, but this was the only way he could take Bella. The main character reflects on the fact that maybe she worries too much, because the gentleman is already 13 years old, and he is quite independent, and he has enough strength to cope with problems alone. Jen asks if she didn't want to make a great man out of him, because he feels that too much attention could harm the young master. Janbar agrees with him and says that now his character is being formed, and excessive care can affect it. The main character thought that she trusts him, but for some reason, she can't help but worry. The bear returned with the boy. At this time, Ivor was preparing food by the lake, and when Fur saw this, she became very embarrassed. The lady offers the she-bear to eat a little, and she asks in response how she can eat her own. The princess claims that she is not of this kind, and at that time, she thought that in the demon world everyone eats each other, and Fur agreed to eat. Bella says that Ivor cooks the best, and she is full. Watching the stars, the girl thought that it is very nice in the mountains, and suggests putting out the fire to look at the sky. The princess suggests that the children remember this evening forever, because you won't see something like this in the animal kingdom. Janbar says that at least their moon is much bigger, and Ivor would like to see the guys now, and then asks the lady when they will go home. Hearing this, the young lady remembered that Keel would soon be 14, and in a little while he would go to the palace, and she thought it was very good that they could meet in this life. A few months later, Keel was 13 years old, and it was summer outside. Crulia will be investing heavily in Dazer this time, and they say the festival will be even better. Ivor thought that then they could meet again, and the young gentleman asked if they could go somewhere else. Jen asks why she thinks the fireworks will be even better. Hearing this, the guy thinks that it's probably because that guy's interested in her and she wants to go there. The princess says that they were there last year, and this time it will be even more interesting. Jen tells the lady that Mary from their academy told him something interesting, that recently the atmosphere in the village has improved significantly, so this year they are planning to hold a summer festival, and those strange magicians have disappeared. The main character invited Mary to find out everything personally. The girl says that each house will put food or clothes up for sale, and they say that there will be a puppet theater and embroidery. Ivor suggests to the lady that they also come up with something interesting, and the princess asks in surprise what they can exhibit and thinks that it would be better to go to that festival. Keel asks if this isn't a great opportunity to spend time together, and at that time, he thought that this way he could dissuade her from going to that festival. Bella thought that he was so cute when he smiled and agreed with him, and then suggested to arrange a circus of a mouse and a black panther. Hearing this, the Janbar objected and refused. The princess then suggests that Ivor prepare something interesting, and the girl says that she has a better idea, and, after thinking for a bit, says that it will be a performance. Hearing this, the main character understands what is wrong with her, and assumes that she forgot that it is forbidden to swear in front of an audience. Mary says that this is a great idea because no one has done this before, and then suggests acting out one of Keel's fairy tales, but thinks that it would be good to take a new one. Ivor agrees with her and says that she will do so, and then turns to the gentleman and asks if this is not a great opportunity, because he will be a prince and the lady a princess. Hearing this, the main character understood that he wanted to play the prince, and he said that he would like to try. Bella remembers that he didn't say that he doesn't like to attract attention, and the boy asks if she wants to. Bella says that she's sure it will be fun, and then agrees, and says that she'll make everyone participate in it. It was decided to stage the performance based on the Sleeping Beauty story, in which the main character would play the princess and Keel would play the prince, who, according to the plot, would save her. The kids from their fencing school will also appear as the witch's servants, and Jen will play the witch with a bunch of lines. Genbar will be the king without lines, and Ivir will be the queen with a monologue. At the end of the day, the main character thought that she could finally lie down. After all this was annoying her, and she wanted to rest. The girl remembered the rehearsal and the young gentleman's face when he said he had come to save her. She believes that only suitable people should participate in the performance, and understands that in the future, he will make more than one girl cry. The next day, Bella says that this is enough for rehearsals, and at this time, the young gentleman thought that they had not finished, and then he touches the princess's hand and asks if she will marry him. Bella thinks it's better not to say this line now, and he asks in surprise why. The lady explains that the princess sees the prince for the first time, and then asks how she can marry him because it's not realistic. Hearing this, Keel thought that she had not been so harsh before, but he understood that during the performance she would have no choice. There are 3 days left until the festival, and everyone has been rehearsing diligently. Keel understands that their performances are coming soon, and he hasn't been able to practice properly, and he didn't think that playing with Bella would be more difficult than practicing. Jen looked at the young master and said that he would fall like that, and then said that he would play the role of the prince, and therefore told the Janbar to practice with him. The demon claims that the master is not that weak, and the red-headed guy says that the others are fighting in turns, and even in such heat. There are 2 days left until the festival, and Jen asks the boy if he is sick by any chance, and then asks if she should make him a decoction of sucrina. Sucrina is a medicinal herb that restores strength and speeds up blood circulation when used in small quantities. However, in large doses, it can cause heat in the body. Hearing this, the young gentleman thought that there was little time left and he could not get sick, and he remembered that in his past life, he was also sick at this time. On the day of the festival, Jen looked at the princess and said that she seemed to be fluttering, but Genbar insisted that she was not a bird to him. The main character says that she is a princess today, and at that time, she thought that she liked their reaction, and then asks Keel if she looks like a princess. Bella touched the boy and said that he was all hot, but he objected and said that it was not true, and thought that she just had cold hands, and then claimed that everything was fine. However, the girl wanted to make sure once again, and the guy thought that she did not want to get close to him, and did not understand why she did it now. The main character claims that he is all sweaty and thinks that the boy is definitely sick. Hearing this, Ivor asks in surprise how their performance is going, and the lady replies that they will be without Kiel. Hearing this, the young gentleman objects and claims that he can, but the lady says that this is out of the question since he has a fever. Kiel says that then he can be a princess just lying down. The lady tells the Janbar to put the boy to bed in his room. Jen says that he thought the boy would fall if the lady had not caught him in time, and then says that the gentleman tried so hard, and the Janbar did not even let him rest. Ivor reports that this is why she made breakfast with medicinal herbs and sucrina this morning. Hearing this, Jen asks in surprise why she didn't say. The girl says that in small doses nothing will happen. The red-headed guy smiled and said that he also gave him this decoction. Keel tells the bear that she is heavy, and Fur explains that she does it because the mistress told her to warm him up, and then says that since he woke up, she will go get a towel. The young gentleman, hearing this, asks how the performance is going, and thinks that suddenly someone else will kiss Bella and does not understand why he is even thinking about this, since this is an ordinary performance, and he does not understand what this greed is for. But he thinks that he wanted to show Bella his feelings. Keel, lying in bed, saw Bella enter his room and thought that she should be performing now. The girl asks how he feels, and he says that he likes her, and very much. The main character thought that something bad was about to happen, and Fur said that he would be their bear pillow, and the girl thought that it was good that the she-bear intervened in time, and Keel's temperature dropped. The lady reflects on the fact that she doesn't like that he is sick, but she is glad that they canceled the performance. However, she understands that it is all acting, but Keel's line seemed too real. After all, he looked so grown up, and that is why she was confused. Bella reflects on the fact that if he was in the castle, then they would have already found a bride for him, and believes that the force with which the novel strives to follow the original is very strong. And if the story does not end as in the original, then the character who moved here will be blamed for everything. The girl does not understand how great this power is. After all, it is not yet known, but she knows that when she becomes an adult, the Demon King will call her, and this will mark the beginning of the story. The main character understands that she will still go to the world of demons, and it will be difficult for Keel to live there, and there is a year left before his arrival at the castle. Bella asks what kind of performance they put on there, since the children no longer come to fencing classes. Ivor explains that many parents took it badly, that the princess turned out to be a Janbar. And the lady says that it was necessary to embellish it and asks if she got hurt. The lady looked at the guys and does not understand what is wrong with them again, and she is so ashamed of her role as a princess. Ivor smiles and asks the lady if she really does not see. The princess thought that these guys couldn't be relied on. Fur reports that she is done cleaning, and the main character claims that she is the best, and at that time thought that it is because she does not add problems. The bear hugs the lady and asks if she loves her more than anyone else, and also wonders if she is better than the master. Bella replies that even 100 like her are not worth one keel. Fur was surprised to hear this, and then says that it means that if he is not there, she will become the best. The main character says that if she touches Keel, she will get rid of all the bears, and therefore suggests being a good girl. Crelia's handkerchief. Fur explains that the gentleman said it suits her, and the lady says that since she likes him so much, how could she even think about his death? The young lady understands that she will never get used to demons, but she understands that she still has many years to live with them. A few days later, people say that they are blasphemers. The princess says that it is probably because Mary disappeared, because she went to the mercenary guild that she introduced to her, and thinks that the girl is smart and good at fencing, so she can handle it. Bella says that at least now it's quiet, and Fur can spend a lot of time in the garden. Hearing this, Jen says that their lady is very positive, and at that time, she thought that she was not going to live here for long anyway, since she had the role of a villain who died at the hands of Keel. The lady suggests going to practice, and during the training, she thought that Keel learns very quickly and holds on even without sacred power, and therefore thinks that everything is fine and suggests the boy to repeat. Bella says that during an attack, there is no need to think about defense, because he must strike at the first opportunity. The princess claims that he must want to finish her off, and says that he is still defending himself and believes that the best defense is a good offense. Keel asks in surprise how he can hit her. Anna says that cats have 9 lives and therefore suggests that he hit. At the end of the training, the boy sat down on the ground and told the girl that there was such a beautiful sunset today, and she told him not to change the subject and sat down next to him. The young master thought that he would like time to slow down a little and move as slowly as the clouds. The main character understands that the criminal is wanted, and this is what must be done before sending Keel to the castle, because she understands that he could not use the magic that was unique to all members of the imperial family, because he was an illegitimate child. So many doubted him. The man smiled and said that they were the ones who caught the terrible calyx, and he doesn't understand how they dare to discuss the gentleman behind his back. He says that it happened by accident. At that moment, Keel said nothing and simply held on to his amulet. The main character remembers that this is exactly what was written in the book, and the capture of Calyx brought him fame that no one could close their eyes to. But even though these actions are described easily in the novel, in reality, everything was clearly not so simple, and this is all that was left for her to do. Keel, 14 years old, Bella asks him if he wants to go to Ramingo, because he needs to do something before going to the castle, and then asks what he thinks about it. The girl reports that the goddesses of fate told her that she cannot make mistakes and change her destiny. The young gentleman asks in surprise what will happen if he does not become a prince. Hearing this, the main character thought that it seems he still does not believe in his origins, and then says that fate cannot be changed. Bella tells him that someone will definitely come for him from the castle, and she will do everything in her power to do this, because his destiny is at stake. She understands that if everything does not end as in the original, then she will have to live eternity in the world of demons, and all that remains for her is to enjoy the last good days. Ramingo City, Jen says that the atmosphere is not at all like Indisar, and he heard that there will even be a spring flower festival there. And then he says that at the festival, girls are given red flowers, and men are given white flowers, and he thinks that people are really the best at such nonsense. Ever says that in the future, a bunch of girls will suffer for the master, and then tells the lady that he will see which of them will get the most flowers. At this time, the main character thought that she couldn't even imagine when he became so big, because she thought she would tell him when the time came, and then she said that he was right, because they didn't come here to have fun. Bella shows a photo of the criminal and says that he is wanted, and if they see him, they should immediately report to her, and then says that there is no need to go together unnecessarily, and suggests that they split up. Ever thought that it would be better if she stayed home with Fur, and the main character says that the faster they find him, the more time will be left. Keel took the young lady by the hand and offered to go there. The girl following him thought that they did not come here to have fun. The boy says that he was born here and wants to show her Piazza Ramingo because it is the largest square, and meetings are usually held there, and all the local shops are very old. The young gentleman says that there are excellent baguettes in that bakery, or at least that's what they say, and the best tea with milk is at the other end. Hearing this, Bella asks in surprise if he remembers all of this, and he replies that he remembers every little thing. At this time, the girl thought that he was only speaking the opinion of others, and then asked if he wanted a baguette and milk tea, and then suggested that he wait here since she would buy everything. When the guy was left alone, he thought that 10 years had already passed, and he remembered how he called a man dad, and that man said that he was not his dad, and hit the boy, and then screamed and said that this whore left this offspring behind, and thus repaid him for his care. Keel reflects on how he thought everything would be fine if he returned. Bella tells the young gentleman that they have just baked baguettes and invites him to eat. The boy asks if she wants to go to his house. After a few minutes, they came to the house, and he says that it is here. The lady asks if he is sure because it seems to her that someone lives there. Keel says that apparently his uncle still lives there. The princess remembers that when he was 8 years old, he looked 6 at most, and that this man also sold the keel to a magician, and then she says that they can just go back. But the young gentleman assures that everything is fine, and then opens the door. When the girl went inside, she thought that it did not look like anyone lived there. But at that moment, the boy did not say anything, but simply held on to his amulet. Keel turns to his uncle and says that they haven't seen each other for a long time. The man asks who they have here and wonders if he is still alive. At this time, the boy thought that 10 years before his return in the fall, thanks to the fact that he abandoned him, he met the kindest person and then says that he forgives his uncle. Hearing this, the man smiled and said that he had become so mature and was truly an aristocrat with exceptional taste. Uncle breaks the bottle, and at that moment, Keel lost consciousness. A man approaches a girl and says that she will fetch a good price, and then holds a piece of glass to her throat. The young lady says that he is an uncle and asks how it was possible to sell his own nephew. Hearing this, he asks if she is talking about this scum that this fool gave birth to, and wonders if she will make a man out of him. Hearing this, Bella thanked him for the answer, and then quickly dealt with it. The robbers who came in at that time watched the girl in surprise, and she, without thinking for long, also dealt with him. The main character understands that she must finish him off at any cost. But suddenly, a woman comes into the room and says that it is Calix, and shouts to grab him, and then says that the girl finished everyone off and thinks that she is definitely a demon, and orders her to be arrested. The next day, the boy asks Bella how her hand is. She replies that, to be honest, it doesn't hurt, and everything is fine. And at that time, she thought about how courageous he is, and how it was, in the original, they caught the criminal. The princess thought that she should have fun for the rest of the autumn, and prepare for separation, so that it would not be painful later, and first they should go to the sea. The lady asks the investigator what punishment Calix will receive. He answers that his limbs and tongue will be cut off, and then thrown out in the city. At this time, the girl looked at the guy and thought that he was surprised by such a cruel punishment. Keel thanks the girl for always being there for him, and she also says thank you for him growing up to be such a good guy, and is sure that he will be happy just like in fairy tales, happily ever after, into the room and says that his name is Rohan. Then he asks if the boy could show him his amulet. At this time, Bella thought that Rohan was on the side of the emperor and played the role of an observer for Keel. The empress's maid of honor ran away, taking the child with her, and no one stopped her because of the similarity of the boy's eyes and the emperor's. However, the crown prince, the empress's son, died in an accident, and the imperial palace was forced to begin searching for the emperor's illegitimate son. And Keel had only 2 distinctive features: amber eyes like the emperor, and a gift given by the emperor to the lady-in-waiting, an amulet that only the ruler himself and his closest servants knew about. Rohan says that Keel Geryon Elysia is the crown prince of the Elysian Empire, and understands that this is difficult to accept, but it is the truth. At this time, the main character thought about the fact that she found out that Keel was the crown prince on November 10th, and believed that she had sped up the events. Rohan says that he will say directly that His Majesty ordered the elimination of everyone who knows about His Highness's past, because in the future it could both help and harm the prince. Keel claims that this girl will not tell anyone. At this time, Bella thought about the fact that Rohan had said this 10 years ago, because the crown prince led a dissolute life, all the children who could potentially be killed him. The boy understands that this girl is not the kind of person who is easy to break, But he knows that if someone attacks her house because of him, she will have a hard time, and if he does not become the crown prince, she may die. Keel tells the lady not to worry, because he promises to do everything possible to keep her safe, because he will definitely come back for her later, and therefore asks her to wait for him, because he promises to make her happy. At this time, the princess thought that in fact, she wanted to continue living with Keel together, and then hugs him, but assumes that if he met Rosanna, she would listen to all his worries about this. The girl reflects on how she wanted to see his happy face in person. He suggests that she turn into a cat so that it would be easier for them to part ways. Bella became curious whether they would see each other again, since she would return to the demon world. Rohan enters the room and says that it is late, and he has prepared a place for them to rest in the next room. The girl says that she regrets that they never went to the sea, because she would have taken even fur there. The young gentleman asks in surprise if she can swim, and she replies that she caught a big, huge salmon in the river. And then she tells Keel that a happy ending awaits him, and even if his path will not be easy, sooner or later he will become an emperor. Bella says that she should know that she was happy with him, and he asks in surprise why she speaks as if they were saying goodbye forever. The girl says that no one knows when they will be able to meet again, and thinks that it is better to say everything now than to regret later that she did not do it. Keel takes out a red thread in his pocket and asks the princess if she will connect with him with a red thread. She claims that this should be done with a person she truly loves, and then says that of course she loves and adores him, but this is a different kind of love. The princess says that in their kingdom there is no such concept and that she does not really understand it. But the guy seems not to hear her and starts whining and ties it on his finger and suggests that they smile at each other the next time they meet. At this time, the main character thought that during their first meeting, they also sat and talked all night long, and she hopes, despite returning to the demon world, that she will be able to get here again. The young lady realizes that then the only thing she would want is to take his hand again and stay with him until the very end. The next day, the gentleman asks if they had time to say goodbye, and the girl asks in surprise why he stayed. Rohan replies that he still has things to do here and asks if she is sad. And at this time, the princess thought that she doesn't know why, but she's worried. Rohan thanks the lady for looking after His Highness all this time and says that it would be better if she moved, and then the bag of gold would arrive. Bella asks why, and he says that he feels that her presence could harm the prince. The girl asks him if he thinks he should think first and then speak. The gentleman explains that if he wanted to scare her, he wouldn't try to talk. Then he shows her a bottle and says that this medicine can erase memory and it can make memories blurry. The gentleman suggests drinking this medicine and not interfering in the prince's life anymore, since he believes that this will have to be done in any case, and the sooner the better. But he believes that if they are truly connected by fate, they will definitely meet. Bella took the book to read and says that he is impudent because he knows nothing about fate. She thinks about what if she could get into the world of people and meet Keel. Suddenly, Jen calls the mistress, and she asks in surprise what happened there. He says that they were attacked and asks whether they should be left alive or finished off. Janbar reminds that the princess said that this is called self-defense. She agrees and orders only one to be left for interrogation. The princess asks the robber who sent him. He answers that the witch, and when the lady heard this, she tells Ivor to create an illusion. The lady with blue hair smiled and said that at such moments, a nightmare demon is needed. She approaches the robber and asks who sent him. The robber replies that Ivor was surprised to hear this from the castle and asks if they really know about it and suggests that maybe it's all about the angels from heaven and asks about it. Bella tells him to name everyone who was with him. He names Lola, Peter, Hans. Hearing this, the main character realized that these were secondary characters who were supposed to become Keel's pawns and believes that she sped up the event by only 6 months, but already finished off the secondary characters. A month later, Ivor asks if everything will be okay with the lady, and the she-bear says that she doesn't even eat, but she cooked her favorite dish, stew with meat, and thinks that it's all because of the young master. Janbar says that without him, it became easier to even breathe, and Ivor tells him to stop crying, and the demon says that these are not tears, but sweat. Jen asks the guys in surprise what they are doing there. Janbar asks which of them is half human, and also wonders where his humanity is. The red-haired guy asks if they forgot about the mistress's plan, and then says that she wanted to take over the human world after the master grew up. He says that in any case, he won the argument and reminds that Ivor said that the mistress would keep the master with her. The lady with blue hair claims that it is not over yet, and then opens the door to her room and asks if she is okay. The princess asks if it is morning already. At this time, the young gentleman thought that nothing had changed, and he needed to take his place as quickly as possible to return to Bella. He ordered to bring him everything he needed to know. The main character thought that she did not want the day of Keel's departure to be the last, because a whole month had passed, and she spent it on novels, trying to understand what had changed with her appearance. Bella read books about the history of this world and geography, and came to the conclusion that her presence changed the entire course of the novel. Ivor asks the lady where the young master is now, and hearing this, the young lady sheds a tear and says that the food is very spicy. The girl with blue hair apologizes and asks if she should cook it again. The princess objects and refuses, and thought that it would have happened sooner or later anyway, and she believes that time heals, and then asks Ivor to call everyone else, because she believes that it is time to move. A few months later, the young gentleman asks in surprise why the prince lives in a place that looks more like a prison. Rohan announces that they have arrived and greets His Majesty. Keel says that they already know each other, and therefore suggests not to waste time, and tells him to sit down. Juan looked at the guy and thought that it was the same boy, and then said that he hid well because he searched all the magic towers in the Elino area. The prince offers to tell where Bella is now, and at that time, he thought that he did not want to ask Juan Cruel for help, but he understands that Rohan is now watching him, so only he can help him. Keel gives him a note to deliver to the estate. A few days later, Juan tells the young master that it is empty, and he asks in surprise if he thinks he will believe it. Juan assures that this is true, and he questioned the villagers, and they all say that no one lived there. Hearing this, the young gentleman thought that this was impossible, but he knows that everyone in the castle obeys the emperor and assumes that they want to deceive him. Rohan turns to His Highness and tells him that he shouldn't focus so much on the past. Hearing this, the guy thought that he had guessed his thoughts again. The gentleman says that if he drinks this, he will immediately feel better. He opens the boy's mouth by force and promises that he will feel better. 3 years later, Rohan tells the Lord that he needs to look at these documents. Keel says that he will definitely look at them. At the same time, the capital of the neighboring country of Hope, Jen reports that about 1,100 years ago, a major battle took place there, and it seems to him that there are still artifacts left here, and asks if they want to look at them. Food was made into a small toy by magic. Janbar says that means it was a sand battle. Ivor turns to the lady and says that she missed him so much, and Bella insists that she is not talking nonsense and asks which of them suggested going for a walk. The girl with blue hair asks if she needs anything at the market. The princess says that first she needs to buy clothes and a couple of hammocks. The saleswoman asks to look at the Hope souvenirs, and the young lady says that it is a very cute cactus. The woman greets her and explains that this is their famous fire cactus that is in every Hope home, and that it also blooms incredibly. The saleswoman explains that this only happens quite rarely, and they say that if the flower blooms, then the wish will definitely come true. Hearing this, the girl remembered that Keel promised to fulfill it, and at that time, she thought that she needed to pull herself together, and then says that she will buy it. The woman tells her to water it every day, and keep it in the sun one day, and in the shade the next, because that's the only way the flowers will bloom. The main character understands that the action of the novel begins in a year, and it is time for her to return to the world of demons, because the time has come. The princess tells the boys that it's time to go to the Empire. Keel reports that he knows it is possible to restore magic using relics. Rohan says he has made great progress so far, and therefore believes that the master should stay out of danger. The boy asks if it wouldn't be better if he had magic. The assistant replies that he doesn't think it's enough for him to be able to fence. Keel reflects on the fact that he is doing nothing, although earlier at this time, he was already searching for sacred relics with all his might, and thinks that he tried to escape in vain, since there were only more guards. However, he wants to inspect the estate with his own eyes. Forgetting potion helps people cope with the death of a loved one, or survive a breakup, but not forget the person at all. It's the same as when they sometimes don't remember what they ate for dinner yesterday. And the potion blurs the memory, but for him, it became poison. The young gentleman asks the guy what he is looking for. He replies that he can't do it at all, and asks if this means that it was not the kingdom of animals, but the eastern one, like people who move from the past to the future. Keel wonders if this means that time can be controlled, and reports that this kingdom was destroyed 100 years ago. The guy with blonde hair says that he understands that it sounds incredible, but if people from other worlds can come to them, then time can also be controlled. However, the young gentleman objects and says that they need to search further. The assistant says that he will search himself and suggests that the gentleman rest. At this time, Keel thought that every time he tries to remember something, his head starts to hurt, and he thinks that it's good that he was able to meet Leo in the castle. After all, his childhood memories are like a dream, and none of the villagers remember Bella, and therefore thinks that maybe it was just an illusion. Keel really misses the girl and thinks that they will definitely meet. The main character has transformed into a cat, and she does not understand how it was possible to defend herself so strongly with holy power, and she knows that Keel has been looking for sacred elements for 6 months now. The princess has lived the last 3 years in another country so as not to influence the plot of the original even more, since she understands that because of her, he returned home 6 months earlier, and perhaps all the events have shifted too. The girl became curious that suddenly the young gentleman will not meet his beloved, and she believes that despite all her efforts, the events of the novel do not follow the original plot. 6 months ago, the main character remembered that she could not concentrate because she was going to read the novel again, but she could not even see the pages where Rosen and Keel met. Bella reads that, because of her innocence, Roseanne falls into a trap, and of course the young master could not help but fall in love with her pure heart. The princess thought that she was nervous about something and realized that she needed to calm down, because she knew that for the last 6 months, Keel had not left the castle at all. Initially, Roseanne was kidnapped by robbers, and Keel saved her, but the problem is that they had already finished off those same robbers, and absolutely everyone. The lady tells the boys to check the situation, and then says that it is time to kidnap someone, and that her mistake needs to be corrected. Rohan informs the young master that at this rate the appointment ceremony will be delayed, and he thinks he was right since they should focus on collecting the relic. Hearing this, Keel was glad because he no longer had any hope of getting out. A few days later, the boy was assigned a guard who would go with him on the search. Line Froha and Leo Froha tells His Majesty that it is an honor to serve him. Lines graduated with honors from the Magic Academy of Alicia, and Leo is an outstanding healer, and they worked together even before his return. Keel understands that the composition after his return has changed, and instead of Rohan, there used to be Peter, but he didn't even see him in the castle. The young gentleman asks where he should start searching. The assistant says that he has learned of several places, and they only have one to explore. About 10 years ago, an incident occurred in the Herdia Temple, and all the priests heading to foreign lands for missionary work disappeared. Hearing this, the guy remembered that they wanted to go there with Bella. Rohan reports that there are rumors that they could have been attacked by local bandits, but there has been no one there for several years, and it would be better to go through the Valley of the Dragons, and he will look for clues in the Dazer. Keel realizes that just the mention of these two places made him incredibly bored, and then says that he is going to Dazer, because he believes that he should have started from there right away. Rohan says that he will need a day to get ready, and then they start to get ready. Keel asks Lena if there are any mercenaries nearby. She replies that she doesn't see anyone who could be watching them, and the young gentleman says that maybe he's imagining things, and the lady assures that everything will be fine and suggests not to worry. The young gentleman says that he would like to inspect this estate. The main character asks if everyone understood the principle of operation. She thinks that the temporary radio was reborn after such a vacation. This magical invention of Bella is based on the principle of penetration of nightmare demons into human dreams. For its work, a magic circle is required, but already different from those used in past lives. Jen tells the lady that she never ceases to amaze him because she believes that this is a real find. And the Janbar asks in surprise why they need this, since they are going to kidnap a person. The princess says that this is why they call him ignorant, and thinks that it would be better if he kept quiet and didn't talk all sorts of nonsense. The main character remembers that in her past life, she worked in the aviation police, and in this one, she kidnaps people. She understands that it is hard to go against principles, but there is no other choice, and it is all for Keel. The lady orders not to show Keel that they know him, because she believes that he should not recognize them. Bella tells Jen that she trusts him the most, and so this task will be appropriate. He asks if it will be the most difficult. The princess says that he should look after Keel in the castle. Hearing this, the guy is surprised, and she asks what is going on. The half-breed explains that he just thought that she would personally take care of it. The main character thought that no matter how she tried to stop the summoning of the Demon King, her body would not last long, and with her presence, she would only expose past wounds, and she thought that it would be better to focus on the original, and then said that they had no right to make a mistake. The princess tells Fur that her fur has returned to its normal color, and orders her to fix it. Leo says that this is the Red Roses Hotel, and then asks if they want to reveal their identities, and wonders if it is worth going to such an expensive place. Keel suggests staying here, and Lines asks the gentleman if he knows this place. He replies that he doesn't remember very well, and suggests letting him walk around a bit. Bella had stayed there when they came to the festival, and he thought that coming here was an impulsive decision. Keel remembers that in this place they launch sky lanterns, and thinks that perhaps he shouldn't have changed his wish then, about wanting to stay with Bella forever. The young gentleman thought about who knew that this wish would never come true. He remembered that the girl said that one day he would swallow up all of high society, and it seemed to him that in the end he was swallowed up. The guy thought that he had forgotten himself because he believed that princes should not smile. At the same time, the main character announces that they have arrived at Dazer and says that it is time to start distributing roles. Jen should look after Keel Genbar, watch the mercenaries who will kidnap Roseanne Aver in the process of preparation. Fur must spread rumors in the city that a group of bandits has stolen a holy relic. Jen says via walkie-talkie that the gentleman has entered the hotel. Hearing this, the lady asks what the name of the hotel is. He says that it is the Red Rose, and they stayed there when they were at the festival. Jen reports that the gentleman has grown very much and has become taller than the lady. Bella threatens and says that he should just try to do something to the gentleman, and at that time, she thought that she needed to control herself and that the original course could not be disrupted. The next day, Ivor did a great job and told the princess that the master and his servants had gone to the temple. The main character looked at the radio and said that with their forces, they could easily deal with even 15 mercenaries. She suggests that Jen leave before he gets caught. However, the guy objects and says that he will get there himself. Bella understands that she has to wait until Keel and Roseanne meet, and then everything will fall into place, and she hopes that her body can withstand it. The princess announces that they are approaching the most important stage and therefore suggests that they gather especially Fur, and then announces that Roseanne is now at the door. The maid tells Mrs. Roseanne that it is dangerous, and the lady claims that she thinks that someone is coming to help them. The main character thought that this was all great, because everything was going according to plan. Roseanne stood at the door waiting for someone to save her, and when it opened, she fell right into Keel's arms from surprise, and it all ended with a kiss. The princess believes that Keel will have to take responsibility for what happened and postpone his trip, and, most importantly, that everything goes according to plan. The girl thinks that after this, he will go and finish her off, and she will disappear from this story, and then asks Fur through the radio if the door is open and if they hugged. The she-bear, running away, thought that if the mistress found out about her punishment, then even in the history book of the demon world they would write about it, and she understood that this could not be allowed. Fur, who loves the princess more than anything in the world, and she believes that she has finally been entrusted with an important task, and right now she is pretending to be a toy and watching what is happening. The she-bear looked at the lady and thought that her pink hair resembled cotton candy, and she wanted to eat it so much. However, it was a pity that she needed her alive to successfully complete the task, and she understood that if she jumped higher, she would be able to see. Fur saw that the cotton candy fell, as the lady said, and she understood that she needed to give the sign twice. Roseanne, lying on the floor, asks for help, And at this time, Fur was so scared that the gentleman recognized her. But everything is fine. Suddenly, the gentleman comes up to the bear and calls her Fur. And at that moment, the she-bear thought that she needed to hold on, and if only he knew how hard her heart was beating. And at this time, Keel thought that the fur had a different color, and thought that it shouldn't be here. The lady with pink hair asks for help. The young gentleman looked at her and thought that she looked like a ghost, because she looked very sad. At this time, the main character asks through the radio if they really kissed, and Fur understands that everything is wrong, and she needs to press twice. But it doesn't work. The maid looked at the bear in surprise and said that the toy was moving. Having heard this, the young gentleman was surprised, and Mary said to look at her paw, because it was definitely sitting differently. Keel screams and calls out Fur's name, so much so that the she-bear gets scared, and objecting, says that she is Pudding, and then gets to her feet. Roseanne says in surprise that the bear is talking, and at that time the young gentleman takes his hand away from the girl and asks Fur why she is lying. He tells her to answer right now. The bear asks the gentleman to pretend that he didn't see her, and then quickly runs away. Currently running through the forest, the truck understands that the master is still pursuing her, and she would like the princess to help her, and asks through the radio for help. Bella asks if she should be called, and she agrees and says that it is just in time. The lady asks if she is running and why she is breathing like that. Fur explains that she was afraid that the lady would not be able to summon her. And the princess asks seriously because she understands that the hunters can catch her. At this time, Keel does not understand why Fur is running away and thinks that this is his chance to find out about Bella. As he saw that bear stopped and realized that she was talking to Belle, the young gentleman thinks that he will catch her a little more. And when the Fur saw him, she tells the lady that a hunter is chasing her and asks her to call her quickly. Keel a little more, and he would have touched the Fur, but suddenly it disappeared. He fell to his knees and asked why she ran away. And at this time, the main character thought that Keel finally met Roseanne, but she does not understand why she feels bad about this and thinks that she should only think about the original. The bear tells the lady that the gentleman did not hug the pink cotton wool, and they did not kiss. Bella asks if they recognized her, and the bear lies in response. But the princess believes her and says that it's wonderful, and since she did such a good job with the task, she can become her assistant in the demon world. Hearing this, Fur was delighted, and the girl asked if she agreed to be the very first, since she would be closer to her than all the generals. Ever asks the bear if she saw the master up close, and the princess says that it is enough to talk about it since they are no longer connected with Keel, and therefore should forget about it. The main character realizes that it is time to go to the demon world. At this time, Keel thought about the looks that followed him from the castle to the Dazer. Rumors about sacred relics, an unusually small and weak gang of robbers, and he believes that Bella is definitely helping him. The young master does not understand why she is doing this and why she pretends that they do not know each other and thinks that they need to go to the estate. But he understands that first he needs to come up with an excuse for Rohan. Keel looked at the assistants and didn't understand why they were still here. Roseanne tells the gentleman that she was told that he is a traveler, and he tells her to move away. The young master turns to Lena and says that he needs to get to the estate as soon as possible and asks if she can borrow Rohan. She asks how far it is. Keel replies that even by carriage the journey would take a long time, and he was a child then and therefore doesn't remember exactly. Roseanne, hearing this, says that she can help him with the carriage, but only asks to be allowed to go with him. The guy asks why he needs extra luggage, and the girl asks and says that she was kidnapped, and therefore she would like to look around. When the gentleman heard this, he was surprised because he had never seen such a stupid person. Keel tells the girl that he can take her with him, but on the condition that she obeys him. Upon hearing this, she was happy, and then says that her name is Roseanne. The lady thought that this man was so impudent but handsome, and at that time, the gentleman thought that if he used her, he would be able to deceive Rohan and go to the estate. The guy suggests pretending that they met at the hotel, and the girl was kidnapped, and he went to help because he understands that no special reason is needed to save people. Lines asks in surprise if he thinks the assistant will believe this story, and Keel thinks that it will be even better because he will think that another woman has intervened. The young gentleman says that they just need to come up with a story about their stay at the hotel. Roseanne quietly whispers to the maid that this man has an interesting character. And at this time, Mary thought that she does not remember, but she has already seen him somewhere. Keel asks why she is standing, and then says that he does not want to waste time, and suggests that they go. After some time, they arrived at the house, and the young lady said that this house was similar to the one in which ghosts live. Keel tells her to wait for him, and then he goes inside the house, and doesn't understand why it's so empty, and then screams and says that he's back. The young gentleman walking through the house called Bella, and he does not understand why there is no one, and the house is empty. Keel calls Janbar Fur and Ever, but he did not see any of them. The guy came into Belle's room and saw an empty bed, sat down, and remembered that he had once admitted that he would not be accepted into the family and would definitely be abandoned. Keel remembered how he had a good time with the girl, and the ghost claims that he is also alone. And the guy screams and objects and does not agree with him because he thinks that she must have had her own reasons. The young gentleman thinks that Bella is the one who wished him happiness, and she left the house and ran away for some reason too. The young man saw the office and thought that maybe there were clues left there. When he entered it, he realized that there was nothing there except a safe in which the key was for numbers. Keel thought that the last digit was strange and needed to be turned. In a few minutes, he opened the safe and saw inside the land documents and a note that this was a gift to Keel for his 15th birthday. The young master saw other records of the death of the dark magician who tormented Keel without estates and the sacred artifact of Keel. There are changes, replaced by fencing and the meeting with Maya without changes. The guy reads the notes about the capture of Calyx. Keel's arrival at the palace is postponed for 6 months, and Peter's death. No changes. After reading this, the young gentleman was surprised because he did not know that he had died. Keel remembered Juan's words, that he had questioned the villagers, and they all said that no one lived there. He took the documents and left the house. Roseanne asks if it's time already. The gentleman tells them to wait here, and at that time, he thought that he should find out why Bella left. At this time, the she-bear says with delight that it is time to go to the world of demons, and the main character looked at her and doesn't understand why she's so happy. I think that she probably wants to go home. Bella opened a magic portal and tells the guys that they should go with her too. Fur went first, and the main character asks the guys why they froze and why they don't go. Jen thought that she herself was not going to leave, and he was wondering how she could leave the young master. Ever tells the lady that she knows her tastes well, and therefore should not think that it would be better for her to remain in the human world, to send them clothes and furniture. Bella thinks this is a good idea and asks only not to lose the radio. The princess asks Jen why he is hesitating and not coming, and then says that she will be nearby, and therefore he does not need to worry about coming in. The guy with red hair says that he is still scared, and he would also like to stay to help her from here. Hearing this, the main character asks in surprise what he means. He replies that if they want to invade the human world, they need to know it well. The girl understands that they still believe in it, and if she says that she agrees, as Keel must finish her off. And she believes that she should pretend that she wants to conquer the world of people. The princess agrees and tells him to keep the radio with him too, and then reminds them not to forget that they are forbidden to approach the Keel. The main character thought that Jen would obey, but she thinks it would be better to use an oath and tells him never to come near Keel. Ever angrily says that their princess is so meticulous, and she used the oath and thinks that it is all because of his habit of getting into trouble. The princess asks Janbar if he is coming, and then says that he hates the human world, and that is why she thought that he would enter the portal first. Janbar looked at Jen, and then said that he would go. The princess suggested that he hurry up because her legs were already hurting. She screamed and told him to move faster. The demon says that he is coming and asks not to put pressure on him. Ivor says that the lady is so heartless, and at this time, the main character thought that she was looking at the sky of the human world for the last time, and she was sorry that this was an ordinary sunset, and she would still like to see the sea. When the girl entered the portal, she doesn't understand why it stinks so much, and the fur asks if the lady is okay. The princess says that everything is fine, and explains that she was just a little scared, and at that time, she thought that she almost died from fear, because she had not seen the true form of the furs for a long time. The she-bear reports that the demons have arranged a celebration in honor of the princess. And when the lady saw the pyramid of skulls, she was surprised because the ice cream man was waiting for her, and there was also a circus show of insect demons. The cockroach says that he was waiting for the princess. And at this time, the main character does not understand what to do because she hates cockroaches, but does not understand. But there are more and more of them. The cockroach says that the princess laughed, and she tells them to shut up and get lost. At this time, Keel reflects on the fact that Mary joined the mercenary group on Bella's recommendation and believes that Bien is probably still here. The gentleman asks the guy where Bella is, and the guys answer that the lady is left. He asks where, and they say that they don't know, because some people paid everyone and told them to never remember the mansion and its owners again. Beale says that they only know that there was a murder there, and someone saw red liquid or something like that, but they are not sure. Hearing this, the young gentleman thought that she was probably attacked because of her connection with the prince, and maybe she left because of this. Bella, being in the demon kingdom, thinks that she is going crazy, and she already feels bad, although she spent so little time there, but still continues to hope that over the past 10 years, the Janbari fur have changed a little. The girl believes that she may be able to fix the demon world because she set some rules when she returned. The first rule was not to kill people and not to take baths with red liquid. But he understands that nothing worked, and the demons continued to secretly wash themselves with red liquid and spread the stench. Bella doesn't understand how it is to kill people for fun and thinks that she will never accept it. I will never agree to watch it. The princess screams out the window and says that they are idiots, and then reminds them that she clearly ordered not to burn people in the garden. The bird says it's just a fire, and the dove says they're real idiots and asks the princess if she wants to join in. The main character wonders who uses people as firewood and calls them crazy, and the birds agree with her and say that they are crazy about her. The princess screams and asks if they can stop giving her a reason to yell at them for just a minute. The demons tell their mistress that they have prepared this for her. Go even in spite of, but thinks that it seems to her that she knows what is there, and thinks that there may be heads, toes, or maybe intestines. Bella screaming says that she said that she can't stand it, and she hates it, and then asks how many times she needs to repeat it. And she thought about how it pisses her off that their bodies are growing together again. The lady reflects on the fact that even if you furnish the castle with furniture from the human world, and even if you speak nicely, the demons don't understand anything because they don't listen at all. The main character thought that she doesn't even know how much time has passed and thinks that it's impossible to live like this and thinks that maybe she should just die. The princess understands that the idea is worthwhile, and of course she is afraid of death, but she has already died once, and maybe the second time will be easier. The young woman thought that death would be better than such a life, because she would never accept it. However, she believes that she does not want to give up a new life. The girl reflects on the fact that she probably has comrades in misfortune and makes a request about whether it can be used only once. The lady asks if there is anyone who wants to quickly end their new unpleasant life. And after a while, she realized what she found. The answer was that reincarnation and transmigration are ways to experience a new life that is precious, and therefore she should not give it up so easily, even if she does not like it. Bella thought that this wasn't much of a consolation considering she was in hell, and then I saw an additional answer that said that she would not be transferred to the body of a character who commits suicide in the original. And it is also impossible to kill yourself with someone else's hands. To prevent abuse of the death function, even if she tries, her life will be saved for the attempt. A fine will be imposed. After the end of the novel, she will be punished. The girl reads that she can live happily no matter what character she gets. After reading this, the main character realized that it was absolutely useless and that she would soon become the Queen of Demons. Bella thought that in order to summon her, you need to be at least an archmage, and believes that there will be no fool who will decide to summon the Queen of Demons. The princess saw a photo of herself and the prince on her phone screen and said that the cutie was their Keel. The young lady believes that even if she dies, her death will bring him happiness, and she will fall asleep listening to his voice so that they can meet in a dream. The main character woke up and thought that she was just trying to fall asleep, and then she opens the window and screams and tells them to stop barking like dogs. The demons say that they are wolves and not dogs. The princess screams and says that they also snap, and thinks that they have no brains at all, and then orders them all to die. Hearing this, the animals ran away, and the main character thought that now it was quiet, and if she couldn't die, that meant she could finish off everyone else. 2 years later, Keel says that he found it, and Lady Rosanna asks if he found the Holy Grail. The young master reports that this is the last artifact, and now there are no lost relics left in the Empire. Rosanna wonders if their journey is over now. However, the guy didn't answer, and just walked past without even looking at her. The lady offers him to go together. Leo says that he is glad to see the gentleman, and asks what interesting thing he brought. Keel throws the artifact, and Lines only managed to grab it, and then asks if he went to search for the Grail at such an hour, and thinks that he is impatient. Leo says that if he had told them, they wouldn't have pitched the tent, and he doesn't believe that it all ended so easily. Keel says that he is tired, and so he will go and rest a little. Lines asks how he knew about the location of all the artifacts, and thinks that the gentleman seems to sense them, since she thought that the search would take at least a few days. The young gentleman thought that everything seemed to be going according to plan, and thanks to Bella's notes, they were able to quickly find the artifacts. Although he understands that reading parts resembling a novel was unpleasant and especially disturbing to Roseanne, Keel doesn't understand why this woman is constantly mentioned, and the connection between them is often talked about. The guy thinks that maybe this book was given by the goddess of fate, or Bella came from the future. However, it is difficult to give an answer, but he is sure of one thing for sure, that Bella is not in this fate, and they were not supposed to meet. His Majesty thought that he would never accept this, but he understood that he didn't even really remember Bella's face, but he also didn't want to forget that she sang a lullaby, and he fell asleep listening to her voice so that they could meet in a dream. Keel thought that if he sang, they would be able to see each other in their dreams. At this time, Lady Roseanne thought that today was the last day, and life in the mansion was full of comfort and safety, and she shamelessly insisted on traveling because she wanted to see the world. The girl reflects on how the days were so joyful, and she is grateful for what happened. As time went by, Rosanna's feelings for Keel grew stronger. She understands that he is cold and sometimes seems not to notice her, and, thinks that maybe it's her imagination because he can't be that bad. The lady remembers that he did give her water, and they accidentally hugged, and everything bad is immediately forgotten, and you just have to remember these little things. Rosanna understands that there will be an unknown force pulling her heart to Keel, and she remembers that she told him about her feelings, but he never responded and thinks that maybe she was not clear enough. Mary, watching the lady, thought that she was poor and thought that this bottle would help her. The maid tells the lady that she bought them in the village they were passing through, and that these perfumes will give her courage, and therefore the lady can use them and explain herself to the Keel. Roseanne refuses perfume and says that she does not want it because she believes that feelings should be discussed independently. Mary claims that this is the last chance and asks if she wants to continue to suffer, and then says that tomorrow is the last day together and they may not see each other again. The maid opened a bottle of perfume and sprayed it on the mistress, and then said that she would not come out until she confessed because she believed that one should not regret. Rosanna doesn't understand why she did it and doesn't let her go out and thinks that something is wrong. And then she saw the gentleman who was sleeping, and it seemed to her that he was having a nightmare, and then she woke him up. When Keel opened his eyes, instead of the lady, Bella appeared to him, and the girl with pink hair thought that this was the first time she saw such an expression on his face and kissed him. The young gentleman asks where she got it from. She replies that Mary gave her perfume. Hearing this, the guy ran to the maid and asked where she got this perfume. Meanwhile, Mary doesn't understand why the potion doesn't work and assumes that maybe it was a fake. And then she convinces herself that this can't be because the potion definitely works and they were supposed to become a couple. Keel reminds that he asked a question, and the maid replies that she bought them in the villages where they were before. The young gentleman thought that he knew it, and in the mansion, the red liquid ever smelled the same. At this time, the demon turns to the princess and says that it is not worth finishing off her subjects so often because they only become more active from her efforts, so their numbers are growing, and then asks if she is sure that it is reasonable to increase the power of the Thalas army now. The main character offers to crush everyone into dust. Hearing this, the goat thought that the queen would be a beautiful demon princess. The girl tells the Janbar that the smell of the red liquid is too strong and tells him to tell them to clean everything up there, but not to call the insects. The demon says that they are the best at this job, and the princess says that if they all die, he will become the best, and asks if it is not perfect. Fur informs the lady that Ivor sent clothes. The she-bear decided to keep the appearance she used in the human world because the princess liked it. The main character looked at her bed where the dresses were lying and realized that she hadn't been in her room for a long time, and then asked Fur to prepare her a bath. The girl looked at the dress and thought that it was beautiful and very comfortable. Lying in the bath, Bella thought about how she knew that the power drove demons crazy and consumed them if they used it too often. And the smell of the red liquid always threw her off balance, and it was like that even in the human world. The princess realizes that she controlled herself better in the human world. At this time, the ghost asks why hold back, since he believes that killing makes it easier, and that they have no equal in this. Bella thought about how she was turning into a monster, and living there for 5,000 years was much less scary than losing her humanity, and she wanted to escape. When the girl came to her room, she contacted Ivor via radio and asked why she sent such a dress. Ivor asks if she likes it, because he thinks it suits the lady perfectly, and the lady says that she has nowhere to wear it. The girl with blue hair asks if she wants to return to the human world, and then says that she found a magician who can summon her. The princess says that she is great, and Ivor says that she knew that she would want to return, and therefore asks him to call her right now. The main character heard this and thought that if it was possible, she would really run away, because she believed that it was possible to stay in the human world until Keel went to the demon world and then return there. Bella saw the portal and wanted to enter it, but the bear grabbed her hand and said that the lady needed to change clothes, because even a Fur knows that it is shameful to go out to good people in a robe. The princess agrees with Fur and thinks that she is absolutely right, and then tells Ivor that she will change and come back, and therefore asks to support the summoning circle. And the girl with blue hair says that the mistress can go out naked because she thinks that the robe does not cover anything. Jen asks the girl if she's crazy. Ivor explains that it was just a joke. To prevent abuse of the death function, even if she tries, her life will be saved for the attempt. A fine will be imposed. After the end of the novel, she will be punished. The girl reads that she can live happily no matter what character she gets. After reading this, the main character realized that it was absolutely useless and that she would soon become the Queen of Demons. Bella thought that in order to summon her, you need to be at least an archmage, and believes that there will be no fool who will decide to summon the Queen of Demons. The princess saw a photo of herself and the prince on her phone screen and said that the cutie was their Keel. The young lady believes that even if she dies, her death will bring him happiness, and she will fall asleep listening to his voice so that they can meet in a dream. The main character woke up and thought that she was just trying to fall asleep, and then she opens the window and screams and tells them to stop barking like dogs. The demons say that they are wolves and not dogs. The princess screams and says that they also snap, and thinks that they have no brains at all, and then orders them all to die. Hearing this, the animals ran away, and the main character thought that now it was quiet, and if she couldn't die, that meant she could finish off everyone else. 2 years later, Keel says that he found it, and Lady Rosanna asks if he found the Holy Grail. The young master reports that this is the last artifact, and now there are no lost relics left in the Empire. Rosanna wonders if their journey is over now. However, the guy didn't answer, and just walked past without even looking at her. The lady offers him to go together. Leo says that he is glad to see the gentleman, and asks what interesting thing he brought. Keel throws the artifact, and Lines only managed to grab it, and then asks if he went to search for the Grail at such an hour, and thinks that he is impatient. Leo says that if he had told them, they wouldn't have pitched the tent, and he doesn't believe that it all ended so easily. Keel says that he is tired, and so he will go and rest a little. Lines asks how he knew about the location of all the artifacts, and thinks that the gentleman seems to sense them, since she thought that the search would take at least a few days. The young gentleman thought that everything seemed to be going according to plan, and thanks to Bella's notes, they were able to quickly find the artifacts. Although he understands that reading parts resembling a novel was unpleasant and especially disturbing to Roseanne, Keel doesn't understand why this woman is constantly mentioned, and the connection between them is often talked about. The guy thinks that maybe this book was given by the goddess of fate, or Bella came from the future. However, it is difficult to give an answer. But he is sure of one thing for sure, that Bella is not in this fate, and they were not supposed to meet. His Majesty thought that he would never accept this, but he understood that he didn't even really remember Bella's face. But he also didn't want to forget that she sang a lullaby, and he fell asleep listening to her voice so that they could meet in a dream. Keel thought that if he sang, they would be able to see each other in their dreams. At this time, Lady Roseanne thought that today was the last day, and life in the mansion was full of comfort and safety, and she shamelessly insisted on traveling because she wanted to see the world. The girl reflects on how the days were so joyful, and she is grateful for what happened. As time went by, Rosanna's feelings for Keel grew stronger. She understands that he is cold and sometimes seems not to notice her, and, thinks that maybe it's her imagination because he can't be that bad. The lady remembers that he did give her water, and they accidentally hugged, and everything bad is immediately forgotten, and you just have to remember these little things. Rosanna understands that there will be an unknown force pulling her heart to Keel, and she remembers that she told him about her feelings, but he never responded and thinks that maybe she was not clear enough. Mary, watching the lady, thought that she was poor and thought that this bottle would help her. The maid tells the lady that she bought them in the village they were passing through, and that these perfumes will give her courage, and therefore the lady can use them and explain herself to the Keel. Roseanne refuses perfume and says that she does not want it because she believes that feelings should be discussed independently. Mary claims that this is the last chance and asks if she wants to continue to suffer, and then says that tomorrow is the last day together and they may not see each other again. The maid opened a bottle of perfume and sprayed it on the mistress, and then said that she would not come out until she confessed, because she believed that one should not regret. Rosanna doesn't understand why she did it, and doesn't let her go out and thinks that something is wrong. And then she saw the gentleman who was sleeping, and it seemed to her that he was having a nightmare, and then she woke him up. When Keel opened his eyes, instead of the lady, Bella appeared to him, and the girl with pink hair thought that this was the first time she saw such an expression on his face, and kissed him. The young gentleman asks where she got it from. She replies that Mary gave her perfume. Hearing this, the guy ran to the maid and asked where she got this perfume. Meanwhile, Mary doesn't understand why the potion doesn't work, and assumes that maybe it was a fake. And then she convinces herself that this can't be because the potion definitely works, and they were supposed to become a couple. Keel reminds that he asked a question, and the maid replies that she bought them in the villages where they were before. The young gentleman thought that he knew it, and in the mansion, the red liquid ever smelled the same. At this time, the demon turns to the princess and says that it is not worth finishing off her subjects so often, because they only become more active from her efforts, so their numbers are growing, and then asks if she is sure that it is reasonable to increase the power of the Thalas army now. The main character offers to crush everyone into dust. Hearing this, the goat thought that the queen would be a beautiful demon princess. The girl tells the Janbar that the smell of the red liquid is too strong, and tells him to tell them to clean everything up there, but not to call the insects. The demon says that they are the best at this job, and the princess says that if they all die, he will become the best, and asks if it is not perfect. Fur informs the lady that Ivor sent clothes. The she-bear decided to keep the appearance she used in the human world because the princess liked it. The main character looked at her bed where the dresses were lying and realized that she hadn't been in her room for a long time, and then asked Fur to prepare her a bath. The girl looked at the dress and thought that it was beautiful and very comfortable. Lying in the bath, Bella thought about how she knew that the power drove demons crazy and consumed them if they used it too often. And the smell of the red liquid always threw her off balance, and it was like that even in the human world. The princess realizes that she controlled herself better in the human world. At this time, the ghost asks why hold back, since he believes that killing makes it easier, and that they have no equal in this. Bella thought about how she was turning into a monster, and living there for 5,000 years was much less scary than losing her humanity, and she wanted to escape. When the girl came to her room, she contacted Ivor via radio and asked why she sent such a dress. Ivor asks if she likes it, because he thinks it suits the lady perfectly. and the lady says that she has nowhere to wear it. The girl with blue hair asks if she wants to return to the human world, and then says that she found a magician who can summon her. The princess says that she is great, and Ever says that she knew that she would want to return, and therefore asks him to call her right now. The main character heard this and thought that if it was possible, she would really run away, because she believed that it was possible to stay in the human world until Keel went to the demon world and then return there. Bella saw the portal and wanted to enter it, but the bear grabbed her hand and said that the lady needed to change clothes, because even a fur knows that it is shameful to go out to good people in a robe. The princess agrees with Fur and thinks that she is absolutely right, and then tells Ever that she will change and come back, and therefore asks to support the summoning circle. And the girl with blue hair says that the mistress can go out naked because she thinks that the robe does not cover anything. Jen asks the girl if she's crazy. Ever explains that it was just a joke,